The story begins on the edge of the village of Grella, where everything changes when a child turns 12. According to an old tradition, on a child's birthday, the priest predicts the child's future based on their natural talents. This time, it was the turn of a boy named Rock. He had just turned 12, and people were predicting that he would become a tamer of the sacred beasts. Friends are impressed because this rare job sounds exciting. Emmy is happy to know that Rock will become a true master of magical creatures. Rock himself does not believe in the prophecy and says that the priests do not understand it. The boys reassure him and say that the legend is beautiful, and that is what matters. Isak and Kara offer encouragement, confident that Rock will succeed. Rock thanks them. Suddenly, Isak raises his fist and declares he will become the best gladiator. Everyone has their own dreams. Amy wants to become the best witch in the world and believes she can achieve it. And Kara promises to be a healer who can cure any wound. Rock calls himself the worst tamer of sacred beasts with a hint of irony. Everyone has their own path, but the boys are happy because they work together as a team. This is what gives them strength. Rock wants them to stay together, so he decides to support everyone and help make their dreams come true, even when it is difficult. 3 years have passed. Rain falls steadily. A man in a raincoat hurries toward the building. His steps are heavy, yet steady. Rock pulls back his hood. He is 15 now and has come back. As he walks toward the door, he overhears a discussion about someone being kicked out. The story is about him. Isak says Rock never became a true tamer because he has not mastered any powerful beast. He only carries loads and handles small tasks. Emmy thinks back to the past, remembering how they used to do everything together. Now their team is called S-Class, and everyone looks up to them. It makes sense not to send someone into battle who does not have any skills. Isak explains that a real hero has noticed their team. This is an opportunity they cannot afford to miss. With that hero on their side, they could become kings. His skills would strengthen the team and help make everyone's dreams come true, including his own. Emmy agrees, her voice filled with sadness. Hearing this, Rock's mood drops. He feels deeply hurt by the betrayal. Isak suggests giving Rock a chance. They can meet tomorrow and go together to the disappearance dungeon. If Rock proves himself, he will stay on the team. While everyone is thinking, Amy quietly lowers her head. Kara holds the dress in her hands. Someone asks if she will take it with her too. Kara nodded and decided to take the dress with her because she did not want anyone to steal it. If she ends up with one more bag, she hopes no one will be upset. Isak sighed, and the conversation ended there. The team finished their discussion. Isak reached for the door handle and said that Emmy should explain everything to Roku and Prema. Isak stepped out, but someone from the team called out, asking him to stop. That was Amy. She wanted to speak, but he quietly walked down the stairs. Meanwhile, Rock, sweating, stood still around the corner, trying to stay out of sight. As Isak mentioned, Rock has not yet met a sacred beast. Many people spend their whole lives searching for one. Only a few are lucky enough to find one right away. Even without a beast, this character could enhance his teammates' gear because of his special divine support ability. He took care of everything, from cooking meals and carrying supplies to providing cover in battle, gathering information, and negotiating with locals. Always blended into the background, just like a shadow of the team. Sitting on the hallway floor, unsure of what to do next or why, everything around felt unfamiliar. A smiling blonde named Kit walked over. Kit is ready to join the journey into the dungeon with pride. Rock said to Isak that having a new ally could be helpful. Isak crossed his arms and turned away without saying anything. Meanwhile, the cat spoke to the girls in a smooth, flattering way, saying that God had given such beauties special gifts. His manners were truly impressive. Pointing with a finger, the cat explained that while Rock is good at handling daily tasks, he should still take care of his things. Some items are so valuable that he might never be able to afford them, even in a lifetime. Rock smiled and told him to take back his words. Amy explained that this person was not just someone who carried things, but their friend. As the cat started to carry the bags, a familiar dress appeared in one of them. It was the same dress that belonged to Kara. Before they set off, Isak asked to see Kit's weapon. Kit pulled out his sword without hesitation. This was the legendary Dragon Slayer sword, a gift from the king himself. People say it really can kill a dragon. His blade is known for being nearly indestructible and almost impossible to melt. However, Rock noticed a crack on it. The cat became angry, pointed the sword at Rook's throat, and disagreed. Isak stepped in, saying it was enough. It was time for everyone to calm down and start working together as a team. He reminded everyone to stay careful. Emmy suggested they explore the dungeon as a group. Tara can heal anyone when needed because she is dependable. Rock and Kit raised their weapons, ready to fight. Memories of the days when they were a family came back. Now, as their fists joined once more, the power of their team returned. Whether it was good or bad, they always stayed together. Rock hoped he could keep up the rivalry, but realized he could no longer carry them both. Despite everything, he continues to support them because the Dungeon of Disappearance lies ahead. Holding the card, Rock walks forward at a slow pace. Isak growls and tells him to move faster. With the skill touching the landscape, Rock can sense where monsters are and guides the team along a safe path. Sometimes, though, the shortest route is not the best option. Isak calls out again, demanding they move faster. Rock tries to explain why speeding up is not possible, but Isak does not want any excuses and insists on more speed. Apologizing to Keith, he promises to get him to the main boss of the dungeon as soon as possible. There are far fewer monsters here than last time. No one feels scared now. Even Hendeman can walk in front. The cat had visited this place before, back when the underground nose first appeared. At that time, it almost lost its life while guiding an adventurer. Now avoids joining robbers on raids because it is too dangerous. Giant cockroaches attacked, but 2 knives and quick reflexes saved Roku. It was time to move on. Isak is no longer angry. Now he is furious. He does not want anything heroic, just for Rock to move faster. The cat snatches the map from Rock and calls out to Isaac. He says that Rock is not taking the shortest route. The girls are surprised because they thought everything was going as planned. Rock tries to explain, but everyone ignores him. Isak is sure that Rock is just playing with them, getting back at them for past insults. Rock protests, saying that's not true, but Amy slaps him in response. With anger in her voice, she says that he still does not understand they are not here to have fun. Rock feels stunned, like the world has suddenly turned upside down. In the past, he used to guide them through the dungeons, showing the safest paths and helping them avoid traps. They trusted him then. At some point, everything changed. Now Isak refuses to listen. He insists on taking the shortest route, even if there are lots of monsters. Rock must get ready to fight. More monsters keep appearing. Isak needs to focus on the enemies. Confused, Rock wonders when friends stopped acting like friends. Meanwhile, the team gets ready to fight and Kit stays close by. Kara finds it hard to believe she once considered Rock a childhood friend. Now he just seems useless to her. Kit says Rock should have been kicked off the team a long time ago. Despite their disagreements, the group of boys finally reaches a massive gate, the legendary place where the boss is said to be hiding. A huge entrance appears in front of them. Everyone stops in awe, realizing this is the final stage of their adventure. Rock suggests taking a break and easing the burden, but Isak interrupts him again, hinting sharply that their delay is someone's fault. His look makes it clear whom he blames. Amy asks Kit if he understands that staying in this dungeon is becoming more and more dangerous. In response, Kit either calls Rock a fool or pretends not to understand. The cat quietly adds that it can clearly hear the tone used when people talk to it. This is more than mockery. It is a lack of respect. Kara gives him an angry look. Isak turns to Rock. They have been unsure about when to speak up, but now they cannot stay silent any longer. As soon as they leave the dungeon, Roka will be permanently removed from the team. After this, they will move forward with Kit. The new team is now ready. Rock understands everything without words. Clearly, everyone agrees with this idea. All he has left are pieces of his former friendship. The team heads into the boss fight. Isak shouts that their group is the best. The new team, now without Rock, raises their fists above their heads. Rock quietly remembers doing the same thing with them in the past. He gets told to watch over Kara. This feels like his final task. Meanwhile, the gate to the boss slowly opens. On the other side lies a large animal, a gray-silver wolf. At first glance, it appears quiet and calm. The gray wolf may seem like an easy opponent, and even an E-class could handle it. But this is not just any gray wolf. This is the silver wolf, Fenrir, the son of Loki from Norse mythology. A legendary rank monster presents a serious challenge. Even an S-class hunter might not be able to defeat it in battle. The smartest choice is to leave it alone. But Isak sighs in disappointment and says it is just a wolf. He tells Kit to kill it quickly and come back to the village. Rock tries to stop them and warn them about the danger, but no one hears his voice. The team has already rushed into the fight. The cat is shocked to see that his sword is broken. It will not work anymore. The wolf looks around angrily and releases his true power. Rock and the girls froze in fear. Tension showed on their faces because standing before them was more than just a boss. It was something much more frightening. Panic takes over Kara. Fear fills her eyes as she drops to her knees, frozen in terror by her enemy. The cat tells Isak they need to fall back. His sword is broken and there is no way to fight Fenrir now, no matter how strong Isak is. Still, Isak refuses to run away without landing at least one hit. Attacking him is like trying to throw stones uphill. Even asleep, this wolf is almost impossible to harm. Right now, escaping while there is still a chance is the best option. Rock grabs Kara by the shoulder and pulls her along. The whole team rushes toward the exit, trying to get out. Isak feels upset because they are only running away, while Rock leads the way up ahead of everyone. The cat gives a mysterious smile, suggesting there is no need to worry. Rock's job is to stand at the front and protect everyone. Suddenly, he jumps on Rock and injures him with a precise strike. Kara falls to the ground, stunned. The cat strikes with the spare royal sword and says that the rest of Rock's belongings are now his gift for the afterlife. This means Kit is now a new member of Isaac's team. Shock fills the air. Everything happened too quickly to understand. Hoping it is just a bad dream, Isak and Kit are already running toward the exit with Fenrir close behind them. Emmy runs straight for the exit without looking back, leaving the injured Rock behind. Memories come back of dreaming together to become stronger. Kara believed in him. In fact, this team was created because of him. Kneeling down, a sudden sense of someone behind becomes clear to him. A wolf is standing right behind, growling. For some reason, Rock does not feel afraid. No hard feelings remain toward him, even now. The anger, however, is directed at people. It seems cruel to leave a friend behind just to save oneself. Rock no longer fears pain. Pain does not scare him anymore. Suddenly, a voice speaks behind him. It is possible for a wolf to speak in a human language. The wolf's eyes widened with surprise, wondering if this person could truly understand its language. For some reason, yes. This might be one of his abilities as a monster tamer. Fenrir asks if Rock wants to fight. He is bored, and this duel seems like a good chance to finally kill the tamer. The boy does not want to fight. He would be glad if the wolf just let him go. But Fenrir wants to play because he feels too bored on this floor. Rock does not enjoy this type of game. Reaching behind his back, he pulls something out. This was Isak's breastplate. The boy threw it far away, right under the wolf's paws. Not understanding what was happening, he picked up the breastplate and brought it back to Rock. The boy threw it again, repeating the action like playing with a dog. Fenrir feels confused, but quickly starts chasing after him again. Not sure what it is, but he likes it. Rock smiles, glad that he once learned how to take care of a dog. The rock shows that escape from this level is impossible since the entrance is sealed by a barrier, and even Fenrir cannot break it. Gloom touched the boy, but suddenly an idea comes to mind, and he suggests that Fenrir should travel with him if they manage to escape this trap. At first, the wolf does not take this seriously. The idea really appeals to him. Rock feels surprised that the legendary monster actually likes it. Fenrir wants to be his friend. The young man is surprised. He remembers reading about the profession of an animal trainer, which talked about listening to an inner voice. The book also mentioned that after this, a new stage begins. Now it is really happening. Rock also wants to be Fenrir's friend. Wolf agrees, and they become friends. Rock has met all the requirements, so he now gains access to the mini monster garden. His creatures are allowed to enter the outside world. The boy hears many voices in his head. He feels confused and wonders what these effects mean. This profession is still not well known. Fenrir just smiles, feeling that some risks are worth taking. A new emotion fills him. A new wave of energy fills Rock. It feels like the right moment to give his new friend a real name. The wolf nods with satisfaction. His name is now Fenrir. It is nice to meet you. Still, something about this name feels wrong to him. Being called only by his species annoys him. It sounds too cold and impersonal. Now the task is to come up with a new, cool, and fitting name. Rock starts to think, hesitating as dozens of ideas run through his mind. In the end, he suggests a name for you. The word lucky makes the wolf freeze for a moment, then his mood lifts. This name feels just right. It suits him perfectly, and he feels truly happy with it. Suddenly, a treasure chest appears. Taming Fenrir feels like defeating a powerful boss. Inside, there is a bracelet and a giant red collar. Lucky can barely contain his excitement and urges Rock to put it on right away. The boy puts on the monster mini garden bracelet. Now he hears a voice saying he can go in and out of the garden whenever he wants. Rock studies the bracelet closely, trying to figure out if this is really the garden. Lucky smiles and offers to show him. The wolf touches the bracelet with its nose and its body begins to be pulled inside. The fate follows him carefully, but everything is fine. The wolf feels great. Even more, Lucky beams with happiness and invites Rock to join him. The boy closes his eyes and touches the bracelet. In a moment, he stands in the garden, right in front of the house under the magical dome. Looking around, he feels amazed. This place feels perfect for relaxing. It makes your eyes want to close. Even though it is small, it is comfortable. The temperature is perfect, and the weather is just right. If storage is needed, this garden can serve as a warehouse. Many magical items let you store things in another dimension. However, Rock had never seen one that allowed entry together with a familiar. Lucky asks what the next step is. Rock thinks for a moment and realizes that even S-class seekers have never faced anything like this. It would be great if he could gather other monsters, such as... The idea of gathering allies made Lucky light up. He assured Rock that there are others like him who also dream of escaping the underground. But first, they need to get out of this level. Rock leaps onto his back, and together they race quickly toward the edge of the labyrinth. The boy gripped the thick mane firmly, ready for a wild dash ahead. As expected from Fenrir, they covered a long distance in just a few minutes. Now the barrier and the stairs leading to the light are very close. Rock suggests turning right, believing it is safer. Meanwhile, Lucky is certain the shortest path is straight ahead, even though monsters are waiting there. The boy prefers to avoid unnecessary fights. Lucky understood everything. Having Rock as a partner makes him feel happy. The wolf obeys and turns right. But Rock notices something unusual and asks to stop for a moment. Parts of monsters are nearby. These can be sold or used for making items. The idea of tasty food quickly lifted Lucky's mood. He would really like to try it. Now the main question is where to keep it all. Rock managed to move pieces of the monsters into the mini-garden. Riding on Lucky's back, he realized that storing trophies this way was actually possible. After jumping onto the wolf again, the boy invited Lucky to try too, so he could put the pieces of the monsters into the garden himself. Lucky pressed his paw down too hard and the piece got crushed. Now, more careful than before, he used only the tip of his claw to avoid damaging the material. He touched a part of it gently, but still broke it into many tiny pieces. Now it cannot be put back together. Rock encourages Lucky and reminds him that collecting materials is very important. They need to focus on gathering supplies and not ignore what they find. There is excitement in the boy's eyes again. They need to be ready for something real. There is a problem here. Ahead lies an exit that leads to a staircase, but a strong barrier is blocking the way. The obstacle looks very solid. Lucky frowns, seeing no way forward. Still, even though the adventure was short, it was interesting. Rock stops him and tells him it is too soon to give up. He suggests that the wolf should hide in the mini-garden. This might help them get past the barrier. Lucky confidently heads toward the garden. They are ready, though unsure if they can make it through safely. The barrier is strong. Rock reaches out and touches the obstacle in front of them. The passage opens and they manage to get through the barrier easily. The group keeps moving forward. Lucky returns from the small garden, looking calm and smiling. They left the underground area without leaving anything behind. Delays happened, but Fenrir finished the journey with dignity. Lucky feels truly grateful for the trip. The experience has been a real adventure for him. Rock feels happy too. He holds out his fist as a sign of friendship. Lucky seems a bit shy, but slowly lifts a paw to respond, remembering how he accidentally damaged the monster's materials. The wolf gently presses the tip of his claw to Rock's fist. This is how Rock tamed Fenrir on the first day of the new year. A new year means a new alliance. Now it is time to move on to the royal capital, Crames. In the middle of the street, in front of a surprised crowd, Rock stands with the giant Fenrir right behind him. People do not understand what is happening. As expected, a group of guards rushes toward them. Their job is to protect the guild from the Grey Wolf, which they see as a danger. Rock shouts out that the wolf is his familiar. No one is listening. The guy scratches the back of his head nervously, unsure how to explain the situation. As the tension reaches its peak, the guild doors open. The administrator comes out to meet them. A woman named The River greets Rock. He feels truly happy to see her. The River appears surprised because Rock was supposed to be in the Fire of Destruction dungeon with his team. Surprise turns to shock when she sees the wolf. Laughing, she calls it a big dog. Rock smiles and explains that this is Fenrir, his familiar. Confused, she wonders if this really is the legendary wolf. Happiness fills Rika as he finally becomes a true tamer. The guards are stunned and can hardly believe what they hear. One of the people there, a man in a hood, suddenly realizes that the boy has tamed Fenrir on his own. Rika gestures for Rock to follow her so they can register the familiar. Lucky curls up into a ball right in the middle of the street while a crowd gathers to watch him. Registration is complete. Rika is curious and asks what happened to his. Rock feels confused because he thought everyone else had already returned. He explains that Kit attacked him with a sword and left him behind while they were still in the dungeon. Rika is stunned by what she heard. Fortunately, the sword was broken, so there was no fatal injury. She shared some rumors, which turned out to be true. At the start of his rise to fame, Kit joined the S-Class team and headed into the Flame of Ruin dungeon. The mission failed, and only he and one other person made it back. A chilling rumor began to spread. The cat had used his friends as bait to escape alive. If this really is that cat, it makes sense. But why did he target Rock specifically? Most likely, he saw him as the weakest one. Admitting this feels embarrassing. Rika does not understand why he thinks that way. Everyone always saw Roka as the most reliable member of the school team. The young man believes anyone could have done what he did. He was removed from the group at the very start of the mission, right after they entered the dungeon. Rika firmly disagrees. The team reached S-Class thanks to Rock's presence. She cannot understand how such a big misunderstanding happened. So, she decides the team will be downgraded in rank. Competing with them is tough since their combat skills are truly advanced. However, betraying a comrade is a serious violation of guild rules. This will not be allowed. No special treatment will be given. The fact that they still have not returned from the S-Class mission shows how dangerous it is. This means they still have not returned. Amy and the others are still with Keith in the underground. Realizing this, Rock quickly runs out of the guild. Rika calls out to him, warning that if he comes back to help the team, he might get hurt again. Maybe that is how things will turn out. Still, Rock remembers his own people, friends. The goal is not betrayal or revenge. All he wants is to get them back. The River understands everything and watches him leave with a sad look. Rock moves forward quickly, then suddenly hears a voice calling out to him. Lucky still lay in the middle of the street while happy children sat on him. Rock signals for him to come along, but Lucky warns that these people might betray him again. Rock understands this. That is why this will be the last time he offers them his help. Their eyes met. There was trust between them, but also a hint of farewell. Rock made his choice and Lucky respects it. Lucky helped the children get down from his back, and they happily ran toward the city exit. The boy jumped onto the wolf's back, and together they raced toward the sand dunes. The group returns to the ruins of Flame Dungeon. The cat bursts with anger and scolds the team because without a map, no one can remember where they came from. Isaac reminds him that Kit himself does not remember the way back. Before, Rock used to help them find their way in the underground tunnels. Emmy sighs sadly. The cat notes with irony that this was supposed to be an elite S-Class team, yet they move around as if they have never been here before. The group came down here from the 10th floor. Kit really needs to stop complaining, especially since he is even holding his sword the wrong way. Earlier, he was bragging about his achievements. They chose a different route. It seemed shorter, but wave after wave, monsters keep attacking non-stop. The cat thought it would get easier further down, but now senses that the creatures are becoming stronger the deeper he goes. The fight on this level is over. The team is exhausted. It is time to rest for a while. Soon they will reach the 4th floor. The resistance there might be weaker. Just a little more patience is needed. Isaac wonders about the condition of Keith's spare sword, but would do better to check his own since he always uses it. Still, Isaac's sword remains in excellent shape. He bought it at a regular store, but it never rusted or got scratched. It was a good weapon. The cat asks the girls to show their staffs. Holding them in his hands, he cannot understand how this is possible. He starts criticizing the team again, not understanding why he even agreed to work with them. Then says that all this time they survived only because of divine protection, without even realizing it. Convinced that reaching S rank in just 3 years is impossible, Isaac asks what exactly is meant by divine protection. These people reached their position through their own efforts. Their status comes from hard work, not from any kind of magic. Kit explains that divine protection works only when the person with this power is present. It keeps the weapon from wearing out and makes allies stronger. It turns out that the team was under his protection all along, but no one thanked the person who supported them. In other words, without this power, they would be at a C-class level. Isaac refuses to believe that all their strength comes only from divine protection. His pride does not allow him to accept this. Memories of youth come to mind. Back then, training sessions often ended with praise for Roka. Everyone noticed how quickly he learned and suggested that Isaku should work just as hard. His fist tightens as anger towards Rock starts to build inside. Isaac cannot accept that someone else deserves credit for their success. The cat notices something is wrong with Isaac. The cat asks Kara how many more times she can use the strange ability. The spell has only 1 or 2 uses left for each team member, according to Kara. Emmy can save her mana for the next fight, handling things well right now. While the team talks, new monsters are already moving toward them. Reaching the 4th floor means passing by 5 orange ants. They will definitely call for backup, so a direct attack would be too risky. The cat asks Kara to heal everyone at least once. Isaac will go first, followed by the mages. Next comes the healer. The cat will cover the rear. The team agrees with this arrangement. The attack begins. Eyes focus straight ahead with no looking back. Pushing forward is the only way. Suddenly, the cat creeps up behind Kara and injures her with a sword. Smiling, he says, "Thanks for the healing. Now they do not need her anymore." The cat is pleased because Kara will be the bait that helps the others. Escape becomes the priority. Dropping her, he runs after the others. Kara stays alone as a swarm of orange ants gathers around her. The cat has just betrayed the group on the 4th floor of the Ruins of Flame. He tries to justify himself by saying there was no other way. For him, this was the only chance to survive. There is no need for them to worry, because no one will find out. While they remain in the basement, everyone else automatically becomes an accomplice. The servant worked very hard and gave them a big advantage. The simple fact that they left her shows who they really are. The cat mutters with disdain, wondering why he even agreed to form a team with these pitiful losers. He believes working together is no longer possible. Isaac hints that the cat may not be as strong as he claims to be. The boys keep fighting the ants, but something changes. Isaac's attacks do not hurt them. The monsters on the 4th floor should be weaker. These are blue ants that were easy to beat before. Divine support made all the difference back then. Still, no one ever expressed any gratitude. Without that help, they were only Class C. Several monsters suddenly attack Isaac from behind. Suddenly, Fenrir appears and saves him from the attack. A wolf stands there with Rock sitting on its back. Isaac cannot believe what he sees. Rock was not supposed to survive. Rock proudly announces that he has returned. The cat is annoyed. Now Rock and Fenrir might destroy all the ants. In this dungeon, no one will know who defeated whom. Ignoring Keith, Emmy turns to Rock and asks him to help. Karu might still be on the 5th floor. She was left there and they let her die. And now, after the betrayal, they are even asking for help. This does not make sense. The cat tries to explain, saying the sacrifice was necessary. Clearly, they still do not understand their actions. Rock gently pats Lucky on the head and sets off. From now on, they only trust actions, not words. The wolf is very sensitive. Something bothers him. An unpleasant smell comes from Karina's dress inside the backpack, which is actually her purse. The smell makes Lucky shudder. Rock walks ahead in silence, leaving the rest of the team behind. Together, they push through the swarms of ants and reach the 5th floor. There is no turning back now. There are more ants here than it looks. The smell of blood draws them out of their nests. This is too much, even for Fenrir. Rock acts right away, joining the fight without hesitation. Being next to Lucky brings a sense of invincibility. Fear fades away. The ants were defeated. None managed to escape. In the middle of the fight, Rock pulled off a few moves that really impressed everyone. Lucky saw for the first time how the boy fought with all his strength. This is a real team, strong and united just as it was meant to be from the very beginning. Now the only thing left was to find the map. Lucky sniffed the air and pointed out the direction where it was. Kara rested among the defeated monsters. Rock noticed her right away. She stood still in the shadows, but he could tell it was her. A memory came back of the moment she shared the recipe for a healing potion with him. That moment felt special. With his help, the task was tough, but the potion turned out well because of his efforts. Regret fills Rock for not acting sooner. However, it was Kara who taught him what he needed to know, and that knowledge has now saved her life. He handed her the potion, and she drank it. Gently, he held her close and whispered that now he should be grateful. The words were meant for her. Kara spoke softly, her voice drawn out and quiet. A sound reached her. Eyes opened, still alive. An apology was made to Rock for leaving him back then, but the past cannot be changed. This no longer mattered to Rock. But a new problem was waiting for them ahead. Meet the Guardian of Hell, the legendary Fenrir monster. An encounter with this creature is unavoidable. They will have to face it. Kara looked at Lucky and whispered, "So this is the one they were talking about." Then she fainted. Rock sat next to her and stayed quietly by her side. It was time to return to the city. Rock asked Lucky if he could carry Kara on his back just once. Lucky took a deep breath and agreed. Just this once. After all, his back was meant only for... The boy did not expect the wolf to say something so gentle. Before he could react, an enemy appeared ahead. Reaching the entrance of the orange ant's nest, Lucky noticed eggs inside and quickly rushed in, hoping they would taste good. Ran happily back to the nest without waiting for Rock. Running up to the eggs made his mouth water. Rock guessed these were the eggs of orange ants, but one of them stood out. The others seemed to have been destroyed from within, possibly by someone interfering. Suddenly, everything became clear. The eggs started to crack, and ants began to emerge from them. The eggs hatched right in front of them. Rock was getting ready to... Instead of attacking, the ants surround Rock in a gentle way, accepting him as one of their own. The boy sits stunned among the newborn ants while Lucky makes a joke, saying that Rock probably stayed here because he knew the girls were already waiting outside. Small ants appear friendly. They want to become friends. In Roko's mind, a familiar voice returns. Not long ago, these same ants were their enemies. Leaving them here alone does not seem fair. Roke agrees. Now these tiny ants have become his new familiars. Some of them started to look a little like people. It was time to move them into the mini garden. Rock asks Lucky to look after Kara while he is in the mini monster garden. After making friends with 6 new monsters, the system suggests a garden upgrade with 6 new features to improve it. The garden changed again, which came as a pleasant surprise. Rock decided to improve the river, the pond, the cottage, and the fruit tree. While thinking out loud, Rock chooses what to work on first and guesses that expanding the area might also make the garden beds larger. Selecting the fruit tree function caused the space to expand right before his eyes. The place definitely felt bigger. Near the tree stump, it was clear the ants were busy with something. Near the small house, ants carefully placed pieces of monsters right on a tree stump. Rock came closer, watching with interest to see what they were doing. It turned out they were sorting materials collected from the battle. The ants surprised him with what they could do. That was their special skill. One of the ants asked to be called a good girl. He said the words, even though he knew he was not her real father. Stroking her head brought a new understanding. Being someone's dad is not so bad, especially when this little ant is the only one with a crown. Maybe now is not the time to relax. Rock said goodbye with a wave. There was trust that these creatures would not let him down. He left the mini monster garden and returned to reality. Lucky looks worried, sensing that something has happened. Rock immediately thinks of Kara. All the eggs have hatched. Lucky feels disappointed because he did not get to taste even one. He also feels a bit upset. Rock apologizes and promises to treat him to something tasty afterwards. Hearing these words seemed to cheer the wolf up a bit. Everything will be fine. The capital of the kingdom. Standing in front of the guild building feels familiar, but there is a sense of unease inside. Rock lifts Kara into his arms and asks Lucky to wait a moment. Then he moves forward on his own, enters the guild. Inside, an argument is happening. Someone is trying to force another person to leave. The cat insists he has nothing to do with it. This only concerns their team and friends. The guys are arguing in front of the guild administrator. She says only one thing. Rock asks them to wait for him to return. Rock gently helps Kara sit down and asks what happened. Everyone stays quiet and tense. Kit and Isak disagree with everything Rock said. The cat puts on a fake smile, acting like he is happy to see Rock. He says the guild has made some strange accusations and asks Rock to clarify what really happened. Rock feels unsure about what to explain. Did they fail on the 4th floor? Did Kit use Kara as bait and leave her on the 5th floor? These are probably not the answers Kit wants. Cold sweat starts to form on Rock's skin. Another memory came to Rock's mind, the moment when Kit hit him while they were running from Fenrir. Back then, Isak suddenly stepped in and defended him. The cat tries to calm things down, saying that just because Roka was kicked out of the S-Class team, it does not give him the right to make up accusations. Confident that Rock cannot prove anything, the cat lies with the skill of a true professional. Accusing someone without evidence is simply not right. The cat truly believes it is a hero and says it will tell everything. With a sinister smile, he turns back to Rock, ready to face the king himself. Rock asks for a moment, walks up to Keith and suddenly grabs the broken sword from him, holding it up for everyone to see. The blade touches his chest armor right at the spot where it was pierced before. The hit matches the damage on the armor perfectly. The cat did not see this coming. The cat replies that Rock hurt himself to make up a story. The cat then looks at Isaac, hoping for support. Isaac stays silent, which makes Kit even angrier. Rock points to Kara and asks if Kit has anything to say about her condition, but Amy notices her friend first and responds immediately, calling out her name, crawling over on her knees, apologizing. Explains that everything happened because she did not help. Kara is her friend. Even though it is already late, Amy regrets leaving her. Rock looks at them with sadness. The cat laughs and says her condition is just a result of her own weakness. According to the cat, they have nothing to do with it. Suddenly, someone interrupts him. Maybe the cat really did hit her in the back. Now he is asking for proof. He thinks Kara is already dead and will not be able to say anything. Rock, looking tired, leans over to Kara and gently tries to wake her up. He asks if he is the one who wanted to send her to another world, since he is the only one who knows about her. Someone is sleeping. Kara mumbles, saying things are cool for her. Amy stands nearby with tears in her eyes, hearing everything. Rock touches her shoulder again, trying to wake her, but she shudders. Kara opens her eyes and cheerfully wishes everyone good morning. Emmy happily runs over to hug her. The hug is too tight. Rock gently separates them and asks Kara to look at Keith. Anger appears on her face. Hitting her and using her as bait was unacceptable. She starts insulting him for everything he has done, and after all this, Kit still calls himself a hero. The men from the guild turn to him. These actions are not acceptable, even for a warrior. The guild members gave firm and clear statements. The accusations are serious. Attacking allies, betrayal, attempting destruction, failing to fulfill a duty to save, and most importantly, breaking the adventurer's code. At the very least, he should lose his hero status. Rock thanked Rita for working together when someone suddenly called his name. Isak knelt down in front of Rock, clenching his fists, admits responsibility, explains acting without choice and supporting Keith, asks for clarification to be shared with others as staying in S-Class remains important. Rock suspects that Isak already knew about Kit's plans. Isak pretends not to understand anything. After Kit lets Rock go, he turns to Isak and says that he is now part of the team. So it turns out Isak has been trying to get Rock out of the way all this time. Isak denies all the accusations. He says he will not let anyone speak about him in that way, claiming he has always cared. He believes that Rock reached the S level because of his help. At this point, the guild administrator steps in and explains that the team reached this level only because of Rock. Only Mr. Rock truly has S-level abilities. Isaac is at best Class C, or maybe even B on a good day. Even if Rock had put together a team from the E class, the outcome would not change. Still, Isaac takes it personally. He does not believe that they are in Class B. He thinks the administrator is making it up, but unfortunately this is true. Isak suggests settling the matter with a fight. If Rock wins, he will accept the demotion. If Isak wins, everyone will move on and forget about the incident. Rock feels unsure about this idea. He has not teamed up with anyone for a long time. Rika encourages him and says it is worth trying. The guild has made an official request. He needs to join forces with a ranked adventurer to form a temporary team and demonstrate his abilities. There is also a reward promised for this task. This is Roke's first guild task since he started working solo. Being part of a temporary team is not a big deal. Isak, Emmy, and Kara will join the team to take on the challenge. Kit will not be able to participate because of suspicions. The cat smiled with satisfaction, believing that after several years, no evidence remained. Suddenly, a man stepped out from the crowd, ready to give his testimony. He took off his hood. The cat seemed to recognize him. A member of the A-rank team called Black Spear stood there. The cat pretends not to know about it. The man keeps talking about the event. It happened in the Vanishing Underground. His friends believed Keith as well. He tried to help, but nobody in the city listened to him. The words of an unknown seeker mean little compared to a hero with powerful connections. He wishes he had done more back then. But now things are different. None of Kit's connections can help now. There is evidence. Kit stands there, acting like nothing happened. It does not matter to him anymore. He calls everyone around him fake. Even if he is downgraded to C or S, he does not care. Grabbing his sword, he charges at the members of the guild. He knows he will get caught, but stays anyway. Rock tries to stop him and tells him not to make things worse. But Kit silences him and insults him, saying that people like him are not allowed to say anything. Then Kit rushes at Emmy with a sword and takes her hostage. Fate calls out, asking him to stop. There is still a chance to turn back. Emmy struggles to find the right words as she pleads with him to stop. But Kit does not listen. He says he no longer wants to be part of this. Rock keeps asking to let Amy go, insisting there is still a chance. Kit, however, stands firm and does not change his mind. The crowd parts, making way towards... The cat holds Amy and walks toward the door. Before leaving, the cat says, "Be careful, or you might become lunch for monsters." Without letting go of her, the cat disappears at the edge of the square. Everyone is surprised. Nobody understands how this happened. Rock immediately starts following. At the square, Lucky sits next to the tied-up Kit, contentedly wagging his tail. Amy kneels nearby, her head bowed. It turns out Lucky focused for a moment and managed to stop him. Lucky made sure that the cat would not explode from his watch, as it really was dangerous. Filled with joy, Rock thanks Lucky. With his help, they were able to gently restrain Keith. Security guards came over and restrained Keith to take him into custody. Rock thanked Lucky again, this time as a true savior. He packed his things and went back to the guild to finish everything for good. Emmy bowed to Rock, apologizing for everything that had happened. Rock is surprised and did not see this coming. It hurts him that things have gone this far, and he asks, "Please just stop." Isak, feeling disappointed, holds his head in his hands. He realizes that the team will not be together anymore. With no other choice, Roka is brought back to the group in the hope that he will accept the situation. Still, Roka remains gloomy. Tiredness in his voice shows as he says he will no longer be on the same team with these guys. This decision makes Isak angry. Kara walks up to Rock and says he understands the true pain of betrayal. She gently hugs him and asks if he will be her partner. Rock looks at her and says he cannot believe she is saying that because she also left him. He does not want to work with people who have betrayed him. Kara looks surprised and shakes her head. She points at Isak and says he is the reason the team has problems. Isak gets upset and reminds her that she also called Rock useless before. Kara admits that she said it, but says she did not really mean it. Rock feels tired of their arguments. Kara and Isak start pulling each other's cheeks, but Emmy steps in to stop them. She asks if everyone understood what happened in the dungeon. Rock did the most to help, but no one wanted to admit it. Admitting with some shyness, she says it was their fault. Isak and Kara have no choice but to agree. At that moment, the guild administrator walks over to the boys and breaks the awkward silence, saying it is time to start the trial. Rock apologizes for being late. Rika approaches with a list of tasks in her hand. She suggests going over all the requirements once more. A few details need to be clarified. Their challenge will start with a test at level C. Isak wrinkles his nose, confused by how simple the task is. He thinks maybe the administrator underestimates them because they are S-class. But when Rock looks at the list, something catches his attention. The task list included finding items like rainbow dragonfly eggs from Orango, the scales and claws of a windron, or fresh green emeralds, all of which had to be collected within a week. At first, the tasks look simple, but Rock senses something is wrong. Isaac makes fun of him, saying Rock is scared and wants to quit. The document clearly states they must prove their strength. After finishing the reading, Isaac called out to the administrator, asking her to explain. Rika smiled and said that if he was S-level, there was no reason to be afraid of this task. Isaac gritted his teeth in frustration while Rock stayed calm. Everything was clear now. The guild has complete access to all information, including Kara's allergy to Orango, Amy's fear of demon insects, and even the fact that the green frog terrifies them. This looks like a warning from the guild that it will not allow any rule violations. Isaac grumbles but agrees to do the task. Rika waits impatiently for the results while the trio argues as they leave the room. Meanwhile, Rika asks Rock to meet an E-rank adventurer. Rock tells Lucky that he will be a while and suggests Lucky take a short rest. The administrator asks if there is anything Rock really dislikes. He thinks about it for a moment. A reply came that betrayal is not tolerated and orders must be followed, because the lives of others depend on it. There is some uncertainty about whether this is a normal situation, but it appears that this administrator has more authority than it seems. Her presence here is intentional. Rika is much more than a friendly face at the front desk. With 3 years of experience as an administrator, she knows how to keep everything organized and running smoothly. Over the years, she has changed very little. Still just as charming, even though she says she is no longer young. Rock starts to get nervous, his back covered in sweat. Worry grows in him as he tries to figure out who this mysterious E-level adventurer is. Rika admits the situation is unusual but trusts that this girl will stay loyal and not rebel. Despite his doubts, they agree to meet at the training ground so Rock can watch her in action. The door opened, and Rock saw the outline of a girl holding a sword. He stared at her with wide eyes. A modest girl with a long braid and a bright look in her eyes stood in front of him. Rika introduced her as Shannon, an elf. Rock paused in surprise. An E-rank adventurer and also an elf. His eyes noticed the slave collar around her neck. Rika explained that Shannon was accepted into the guild because she is both a slave and a fighter. The administrator sadly explained that all 5 of Shannon's previous owners had died under mysterious circumstances, which left Rock shocked. The cases seemed like accidents. 2 people died naturally, 1 was crushed, another fell from a cliff, and 1 more was killed by a demon. All of this happened over time. The previous owner worked with the guild, and now Shannon is a member herself. Fate paused to consider. It could not blame pure bad luck for all these deaths. Then suddenly, Shannon called herself the Dark Reaper. Fate does not seek destruction, but if something is not right, Fate can walk away from the task. Even so, this is only a temporary assignment. Still, discomfort lingers. Shannon watches him with a stern expression. Suddenly, the sword is at his throat as she tells him that only the strong deserve her attention. Fate holds firm and asks what will happen if someone chooses a different path. This question fuels Shannon's anger. With clear frustration, she asks if he truly wants to die. Shannon agreed to become a slave because she lost her sense of purpose. However, Rock does not need to share in this hopelessness. Tears filled her eyes as she could not bear to witness another loss. Rock looks confused while Rika gazes at Shannon with sadness. He asks if she will be able to accept it if he turns out to be stronger. He reaches for his sword, determined not to leave such a kind girl alone. Shannon looks at him with tears in her eyes. Suddenly, with anger, forces him to be silent as they stand face to face, locking eyes. Rock stands firm while Shannon grips her sword tightly, ready for battle. Moving forward, she tries to make him understand. Her attack comes quickly, but Rock manages to dodge in time. The elf moves quickly and skillfully, blocking each attack with ease. Years of practice show in every motion. To Shannon's surprise, Rock knocks the sword from her hands. Her movements are accurate but too easy to read. She drops to her knees. Anger takes over, and she lunges at him unarmed, knocking the sword from his hands. Accepting defeat is not an option for her. Rock notices her good fighting base but sees her technique needs work. He grabs her arm, throws her over himself, and pins her to the ground. Pain twisted Shannon's face. Rock asked if they were finished, but Shannon refused. Losing meant death, and Rock was determined to survive at any cost. Through her sobs, she said that everyone had promised to survive, yet they still left for another world. That is why losing is not an option for her, since life would lose its meaning. Rock did not want to continue. His expression turned serious. The only thing he wanted was to explain to her why he could not die. Tears filled Shannon's eyes. Rock gently asked her not to be afraid of what she would see. Next to him stood a silver wolf. Fenrir, massive and powerful, appeared before the elf. Surprise filled her face as her eyes grew wide and her mouth fell open. A bird flying by suddenly fell and landed right on her knees. Lucky raised his head high and let out a proud roar. Shannon could hardly believe what she saw. It looked like a joke. Fenrir was someone's familiar. Rock thanked Lucky and patted him. Shannon could hardly believe this boy had tamed the legendary Fenrir. Turning around at the sound of a familiar voice, she heard someone asking her to wait. The child was a boy. Shannon recognized him. He was following her again, and she gently patted his head. Laughter broke out. Her younger brother Seth, who is 5 years younger than her, stood nearby. They grew up together in an elven family and believed life would always be peaceful. Suddenly, Seth disappeared in the forest of attachment. Shannon stayed at home with her parents. Her dad went with others to look for Seth, and she was supposed to watch over the house. All thoughts stayed on the younger brother who was lost somewhere, no matter what the orders were. Unable to sit still, she ran into the forest and called out for Seth, hoping to find him. But he was not there. Following the path, she reached a creepy maze. Shannon saw the magician's mansion in front of her. She frowned and started looking around. The forest where they played was once a place of friendship between human mages and elves. People called it the Forest of Promises. Deep in this forest stood the magician's mansion, a place where only a select few were allowed to enter. Hundreds of years had passed, yet the building seemed unchanged. Shannon found it hard to believe that time had not left a single crack. If Seth was not in the forest, then he must be here. With determination, she pushed the door open. Silence filled the space. Everything seemed abandoned, yet not a speck of dust could be seen. Shannon tried to figure out what this place was. Moving forward, she called out for her brother loudly. Without stopping, she went up to the second floor and walked into the next room. Opening the door revealed a platform in the middle of the room with a boy lying on it. His eyes were closed. Looking closely, she recognized Seth and rushed to him. His pulse was fast and his breathing was shallow. He needed to be taken home at once. Near the platform, with bookshelves in the background, the girl noticed something unusual. Frozen with fear, she stared at the black circle with an eye in the center. Suddenly, a knock came at the door, and Shannon turned around quickly. She lifted her brother onto her back and ran to the door, but it would not open. Then a voice spoke. "Who among you will stay?" Uncertain, she did not know who she was supposed to choose. Fear made her drop to the floor, shielding Seth with her body as she kept whispering his name in a shaky voice. Saving him was all that mattered. A black mass with an eye started to enter her chest. Pain made her arch her back, and then everything suddenly stopped. Woke up in my own bed. Seth was at home, smiling as if nothing had happened. It would be nice to believe this was only a bad dream, but after that event, strange things started to happen. The creatures around her started to disappear as if they were fading into another dimension. These incidents kept happening more often. The whole family gathered together feeling worried because the horse had disappeared suddenly. Shannon told everything, but no one believed her and thought she made it up. The elf woman understood that if she did nothing, her family would be in danger. So she left the village quietly, without telling anyone. Life outside the village turned harsh for her, and eventually she ended up in slavery. She became a servant against her will. Long ago, her husband told her that the best path is the one of learning and discovering the world. Her first owner treated her with kindness and patience. He taught her how to count money and helped her understand real life. After 6 months, he simply disappeared without a trace. He was gone. She found it hard to believe any of this was connected to her. But within 3 months, the illness claimed another life. The third person died after falling from a cliff. The fourth woman drank poison while sitting at her desk. A monster killed the fifth. Everyone near her died. That is when people started calling her the Reaper. Convicted and alone, She sat behind bars, quietly repeating that no one else should die. At that moment, members of the guild approached her since she had always wanted to go to prison to prevent herself from harming others. The guild had a different plan. Rika visited her in the cell and offered her the position of E-level ally. Shannon stayed silent and gave no answer. She shared her story with everyone on purpose so they would turn away from her. Sometimes words were enough. Other times, she had to use force. She did not want others to think of her as a symbol of curses and death. Days went by like this until one day that man appeared. That was Rock. On the first day, she also tried to turn him down, but unlike the others, he took her seriously. She knew he had been expelled from the S-class, but that did not take away his strength or kindness. During their fights, she found herself starting to think more deeply, remembering the moment of shouting at him, asking why he could not understand that leaving this world would be better. Instead of giving answers, he showed her why he was not going to disappear. Fenrir appeared in a glow, a silver wolf looking powerful and imposing. The wolf lifted its head and Shannon, kneeling, struggled to believe what she was seeing. Some people blamed her for the death and called her the Reaper. The thought of dying seemed like the only solution. However, that wish was only a shadow of the emotions she tried to keep hidden. Through her tears, she whispered that she still wants to live here in the city. Maybe Rock is the kind of person you can truly rely on. She tried to say something but collapsed to the ground before she could. Concern filled Rock's eyes as he rushed over to her. Rock hurried over to her and gently helped her sit down. Rika reassured her that everything was fine and explained it was just shock and extreme exhaustion. Her expression softened as if a weight had been lifted from her heart. Rika stayed by Shannon's side and took her somewhere to rest. Rock watched them leave with a smile. Behind them, Lucky growled quietly. The dog looked sad, realizing that barking at the elf was not the best idea. Rock reassured him that everything turned out fine. At this moment, Lucky noticed the bird still lying on the ground, curious about what Rock planned to do with it. While the wolf howled, the bird fainted, but soon regained consciousness and realized everything was real. A bird from the sky wanted to become Rock's friend. This surprised him, but he agreed because having new friends is always good. A bird settled in the garden, and Rock smiled to himself, noticing that more and more animals were appearing. Lucky asked what the new friend tasted like. Rock firmly told him not to try eating his friends. Shannon suddenly came back, holding her hand and looking at the floor. Rock walked over to her and asked how she was feeling. She got down on her knees and asked for forgiveness. Rock did not hold a grudge, understanding that her actions came from caring for others. The elf admitted she did not have much experience, but sincerely wanted to join him. Rock smiled. Happy to meet Shannon, he offered a fist bump as a friendly gesture. A small smile appeared as she gently bumped her fist in response. Lucky reached out his paw and said he was happy to meet as well. Rock remembered how the dog had once destroyed the monster's materials. Back then, he thought Lucky would attack their new friend too, but when Shannon hugged the big paw, she just laughed and said everything was fine. Wolf mentioned that he is changing over time. The elf was impressed, and Rock scratched his head, realizing his doubts were unnecessary. But Lucky became cautious. A touch on Shannon revealed a strong curse. This is serious. The curse drains the life energy from everyone nearby. In the end, it will kill its host, Shannon. Rock finally realized that everything she had told him was true. Anger filled him. Determination took over as he understood that this power could be broken. This task is too delicate for even Fenrir to help with. However, Lucky is sure that Rock can handle it, even though he is stuck and not very skilled in these situations. After getting permission, Lucky gently took Rock's head in his mouth. Shock freezes Rock as he tries to figure out what the wolf is doing. At that moment, a clear understanding of how to break the curse filled his mind. Lucky let go, and Rock stood there, soaked with saliva but holding a new gift. It seemed to him not like a divine shield, but something even better. He never expected Lucky could do something like this. Suddenly, someone interrupted them. The head of the guild appeared in front of them, with the administrator standing beside him, her eyes full of sadness. The chief cannot allow Rock to lift this curse. Rock is surprised and wonders why. Titus explained that Shannon is a slave and therefore belongs to the guild. According to their rules, outsiders are not allowed to interfere with curses affecting guild workers. But Rock breaks out and there is no time to talk. Action is needed right away. Titus keeps a stern look, believing emotions are not the path of Rock. Becoming like Isaac is not an option for him. Rock lets out a sigh. Everything felt overwhelming. Tired now, he keeps looking for a way out. Imagine if Shannon no longer worked for the guild. Buying it will remove the curse, and they will not have to worry about it anymore. The head of the guild first thought about giving him time to calm down, but then realized it was better to get straight to the point. Rock decided that buying Shannon was necessary. This was the only way to gain the right to lift the curse without breaking the rules. Unsure how to properly handle the purchase, Titus smiled and decided to ask Rock what the word guild means to him. Rock explained that it is needed to help adventurers survive. Titus agreed but was clearly thinking about something else. Titus believes the guild exists not just for adventures but to bring happiness. Rock did not understand right away. Titus explained that this is why Isaac's betrayal, and that of the others, cannot be accepted. In a different situation, they would have been banished forever. But that would not have changed anything. He wants to give them a chance. Maybe this will help them see themselves in a new way. One day they will truly thank Roku for helping them get through everything. Titus wishes them only happiness. A look at Shannon shows a life full of challenges, but kindness and care shape her character. In this way, she shares something important with Rock. Both have given up a lot, and this may be why they can become perfect partners. He does not force them, but he would be glad if Rock helps the girl and Shannon supports the boy. Roko's eyes widened. He did not expect anyone to understand him so well. It turns out there are still people who genuinely care about him. With a smile, he turned to Shannon and asked what she wanted. Shannon hesitated, feeling unsure, because as a servant, she did not have the right to make such choices. If Rock and the others stay safe, she would like to leave with them. Rock smiled even more and promised to take care of Shannon. Rick was asked about the ransom price. You said it was a strange coincidence that the amount matches the reward for the current task. Rock laughed. The first step is to break the curse. Shannon sat down on the ground. Rock walked over and held out his hand. Lucky, Titus, and Rika watched nearby. Rock announced he was starting. The girl closed her eyes. He cast the spell. A dark substance came out of Shannon's body. Rock did not understand what it was. Something emerged from the darkness and grabbed his hand. This creature tried to curse Rock. Rock quickly used a protective spell. However, the process was not easy. At last, the curse lifted. Rock let out a sigh of relief. Lucky hopped around, happy that his master had succeeded. Joy lit up Rock's face. He thanked Lucky, knowing everything worked out because of him. The guild leader praised the boy as well, saying his actions were amazing. The Magan's curse had always been considered one of the most dangerous. The founder of an ancient magic school created it, and even Titus only knew a little about it. Only a few similar cases are known in the world. Long ago, people whispered that a magician ruled the world, one who could summon magic itself. Rock asked to be warned about things like this in advance, so his heart would not give out. Shannon thanked Rock sincerely and looked forward to working together. A smile appeared on Rock's face. It felt like everything had finally been finished. Now all that mattered was stopping Isaac and his friends from winning. Titus suggested gathering all the necessary materials. A new adventure was ahead, but Roka felt ready for it. The trio went to the mini-monster garden to start getting ready. Shannon asked where the garden was. Rock pointed to the bracelet on his wrist, showing that the entire garden was inside it. Shannon was stunned, unsure anyone could have something like this. The decision brought fun and a bit of surprise. Shannon's gaze rested on a sky-colored bird circling under the dome. Rock had already made friends with it. The thought came as a surprise that skybirds are extremely rare creatures, able to fly all the way to the sky. Even in a magical world, such beings are a rare sight. The same goes for Fenrir. Shannon quietly said that Rock is a very unique person. Rock just thought that maybe she saw him as at least somewhat normal. Lucky fell to the ground and groaned. Hunger set in. Rock felt it too. The idea of cooking something seemed good, but asking the orange ants for meat was not an option anymore since they had disappeared. Lucky explained that the ants had built tunnels right under the cabin. This news left Rock deeply surprised. Coming up to the house, they noticed a huge pit with ladders leading down. A little girl peeked out from the opening and happily announced that her father had come home. Shannon looked surprised and asked if ants could really take on human form. She also wondered why they called her Dad. Shannon was not convinced this was just an ordinary orange ant. Lucky interrupted and suggested that Rock has a weakness for these things. Rock tried to explain that he was just nearby when trouble happened with their eggs. When they hatched, Shannon could have kept it a secret, but that was not the point. Lucky just gave a sly smile. Rock and Lucky argued again. Shannon watched them with surprise, feeling it was unfair that they chatted so easily while leaving her out. Curiosity grew in her about what important thing Lucky wanted to say. Rock was surprised because Shannon could not understand Lucky's language, but she could understand the orange ant. The boy grabbed his head, trying to understand what was happening. It turns out the ant can talk to people. Unlike the others, she is destined to lead the colony. She knows the languages of different races and can negotiate effectively. This ability is called interracial language. Patra decided to pass it on to Shannon by copying the language template. It remains to be seen whether this will work. Success. The elf started to understand Lucky. Rock was confused, not sure how this could happen. Shannon thanked Patry. There is still so much in the world that is unknown. Rock believed he was the only one who could talk to her, but it turned out she is special. This gave him an idea. Ants should have names. He suggested the first one, Patra. Her face lit up with happiness. The name pleased her, and she gladly suggested giving names to the others too. All the orange ants stared at Rock, waiting for his response, but to him, they all looked exactly the same. Patra disagreed, saying they do have differences, just not in how they look. Rock felt confused. As a joke, he called them Orange A, B, C, D, and one more D. The ants almost jumped for joy. The news made them happy. Watching them, Rock realized that each ant has its own personality. After getting to know them better, he would come up with unique names for each one. For now, he asked Patru to show him the underground tunnels. She gave a tour. There was a cold room for meat, a drying area, and a storage for strange demon stones found during digging. The sight amazed Rock. It seemed impossible that the ants had built all this so quickly. Their abilities were truly impressive. The place looked like Patra's nest. There was also some meat, so it was time to start cooking. Patra agreed right away and even suggested having some ice cream. Back at the guild, Rock and Shannon looked around for a grill, frying pans, knives, and some spices. After gathering everything needed, it came to mind that they did not have much kitchenware. Shannon asked what name he would choose for her. With little time to spare, Rock chose to make fried chicken because it was quick and tasty. The recipe is simple. Season the meat, fry it, and serve it with cabbage. The elf waited eagerly for this dish. Rock walked over to the vendor to find out if there was any cabbage available. The man smiled and said that cabbage had not been delivered for a long time. Unfortunately, it would not be available soon. The boys felt a bit disappointed because they were picturing the perfect combination of chicken and cabbage. Then, suddenly, someone asked Rock if he was sure he could afford to have fun. Rock turned around. A familiar group of friends stood before him. At first, he did not understand what was happening. One of them asked again if Rock could really have fun right now. Then he added that if Rock got down on his knees in front of Isaac, Isaac would gladly take him back onto the team. Rock looked at them with surprise. Shannon stepped in between them and put out her hand to shield Rock. She did not understand what was being discussed. Isaac looked at her with surprise, not knowing who she was. Rock asked Shannon to stay out of it. From that moment on, nothing remained between him and Isaac. He does not want any further involvement with him. Suddenly, Isaac smiled and made a move toward Shannon. At that moment, fate intercepted him. A fist hovers right in front of her face. Anger fills Isaac. He mocks Rock, saying the guild is clearly up to something. They matched him with a strong partner on purpose, but this girl looks like she will not be a challenge. He dismissively says that Shannon is useless, and that working with her is impossible. Shannon cannot take it anymore and demands that Isaac take back what he said. Anger fills her because Rock is not just an object. Isaac acts completely out of control, using harsh words. Calling the E-level a little dog that grows weaker with every bark gets her even more fired up. Clara interrupts and asks if this elf is really Rock's new partner. Rock calmly confirmed that yes, she was his new partner, an elf with an E rank. Clara looked a bit surprised and stepped closer to Shannon, studying her carefully. Clara glanced at Shannon and gently hinted that her outfit was quite tasteless. Shannon has joined the team with Rock, so paying a bit more attention to appearance might be a good idea. Fate stopped Clara. This was not her responsibility. Her dresses have no effect on power. This attitude tired him. Clara never imagined Rock would choose a partner with an E rank. Still, maybe he made the right decision. Amy walked up to Shannon, feeling sorry that her friends had been rude. She introduced herself to the elf and then spoke to Rock. With a respectful bow, Amy admitted that an apology was not enough, but she sincerely asked for forgiveness for everything they had done. She also mentioned thinking Rock had already left the adventurer's path. Now she wants to fight him one last time to test her strength and decide her next steps. Rock realized everything and they shared a smile. Isaac called out to Amy, unable to hide his impatience. She wished them luck, knowing they would need it. The squad left. Uncertainty filled Shannon about whether they should go, but Rock reassured her, certain that losing is not an option for them. Shannon looked at him with trust. It was time to go back. In the garden, Lockie looked at them with guilty eyes, his face covered in sand. Preparing a meal, Rock managed to keep Lucky away from the flower. Lucky was not causing trouble this time. He genuinely wanted to help. Lucky sneezed and a cloud of flour covered everyone nearby. Everyone started to laugh. Meanwhile, Rock finished cooking. A delicious roast chicken sat on the table. Everyone thanked him for making such a tasty meal. The friends happily started eating. The chicken turned out delicious. Lucky and Patra praised Rock for the great taste. Rock reminded everyone to be careful because the food was hot. Shannon, though a bit slow to react, soon smiled too because she really liked it. After lunch, Rock announced a new goal, a trip to the Green Underground. Normally, the journey there takes 2 or 3 days by truck, and completing the task takes about a week. The route is difficult, with forests, swamps, and areas that are hard to pass. Still, going straight through makes it possible to finish in less than a day. By watching the direction of the cart, Rock realized the opponents would take the usual road. As long as nothing happened in the forest, there would be no need to meet them again. Even the shortest route cannot promise peace because fate always brings the unexpected. Everyone is here, the bags are packed, and it is time to leave. Everyone moved forward as a group, united around Rock. Rock and Shannon climbed onto Lucky, and together they rode forward across the open land. As expected from Fenrir, no monster dared to attack. Suddenly, a noise came from behind. Was it a trap or did someone get into trouble? They asked Lockie to turn around. In the forest, they saw a creature with wings and horns, looking like a living statue, a real gargoyle. The sound of her quiet sobbing stopped abruptly when she noticed the boys. This gargoyle used metal in its attacks. He could control wind magic, making him a tough opponent even for Fenrir. Lucky growled and stopped the attack. Rock was surprised to see how incredible this wolf really was. The magic went directly toward the monster. This kind of magic was already dangerous, especially with the capital Kronk nearby. If Fenrir used his full power, there would be no forgiveness for him. But it was already too late to stop him. Rock was angry and ready to act. He came down to the ground. Standing in front of the gargoyle, Rock spread his arms and summoned a magical sword. A huge magical pyramid appeared. While it could not completely stop Fenrir's spell, focusing its power on a single point still gave a chance to change the outcome. Rock gathered all his strength and focused it on Fenrir's magic, splitting the flow of energy in two. The young man struggled, pushing himself to the limit. He used his last bit of strength to keep things under control. Energy fades and the body stops responding. Everything stands still. Rock holds his breath, hoping they made it in time. Lucky lay on the ground with his eyes covered by his paws. Shannon stood close by, warm and worried. Lucky took a quick peek and then closed his eyes again. Everyone was safe and no one was hurt. Shannon noticed something was wrong with Rock as his arm was badly injured. He pulled out a potion and drank it right away. His body healed instantly. Shannon watched in amazement because the potion was made from the rare X-apple. Tears filled Lucky's eyes as he apologized for messing up again. But Rock simply smiled at him. The boy leaned against the wolf and thanked him because he had tried to help, and that truly meant a lot. However, he pointed out that Lucky's magic works like a disaster. From now on, they need to practice together and learn how to control it. Lucky whimpered and started to cry even more, promising to try his best. Even the gargoyle looked touched. Surprised, he looked at Rock, unsure of who he really was in this form. Gorgle screamed in fear and called Rock Mari, jaw clenched tight, refusing to listen to a word from this creature. Still, the sound of its roar filled the quiet forest. It turns out the gargoyle feels sad because he was kicked out of the demon lord's army. Rock was surprised to learn that even monsters can be set free. Gargoyle was made from leftover scraps and had only weak magic, so he spent 100 years just cleaning the castle. Recently, the army got new leadership. They told him they did not need a monster who could do nothing. Wandering through the forests in despair, he eventually reached a village. The villagers became frightened and attacked, so he had no choice but to run away. Rock paused to think. People are often afraid of demons, but all this gargoyle did was clean the castle. This was its first encounter with humans. Bitterness filled the gargoyle as the thought of being inferior to humans hurt more than anything else. He paused to consider what the true purpose of his life might be. Rock remembered that gargoyles are elite soldiers in the Demon Lord's army. Creating them takes a lot of magic. It is hard to believe one was made from leftovers. The boy wondered what would happen next and tried to guess what this creature was planning. Tears welled up in Gorgoul's eyes again. Rock tried to calm him down and suggested he come along with them. Even though he is weak and obsessed with cleanliness, that does not matter. The important thing is that he spent 100 years devoted to cleaning. Gargoyle felt true happiness. He thanked Rock and asked if he could join the team. Suddenly, a voice echoed in the mind, saying the gargoyle was sealed to become Rock's friend. Now the choice rested with the boy to accept this friendship or not. Rock wondered if the gargoyle held a hidden power. He only knew that the previous demon lord had created him, while the rest remained a mystery. The boy congratulated him again, still unsure. The man replied kindly. The sealed gargoyle suddenly changed into a sacred beast and became Rock's friend. With this new creature, Rock can now explore the garden. This time, Rock decided to expand the cabin. With more space inside, it felt like a real achievement. A village was nearby. There could be something interesting around here. The friends noticed a cat and wondered how a cabbage field could grow in such a remote place. Lucky was already curled up and sleeping. Evening was approaching outside, so Rock suggested having a snack before settling in for the night. Set off again in the morning. Finally reached the place the gargoyle had mentioned. The village was called Choshino. At the entrance, a man greeted them with a loud snore. Rock gently tried to wake him, but nothing happened. Then Shannon gave it a try, placing her hand on his shoulder. The man opened his eyes, saw the girl, and said she looked just like an angel who had come down from the sky. He realized it was time to go with her to the other side. If such a gentle girl was leading him away, there was no reason to be afraid. He moved closer and offered a kiss. Spotting what was happening, Lucky stepped in quickly and stopped the kiss, protecting the girl. Seeing the rest of the group, the old man became scared and thought they were bandits. Rock explained they were just travelers on their way to the caves and had only heard about the village during their journey. They arrived right on time. The man suggested talking to the village elder. Looking around, Rock noticed that everyone was watching them with caution. The people in the village looked thin and tired. Even though there was no famine here, their faces showed they did not have enough food. Some villagers greeted the travelers warmly. The local village head, Anagami, was a kind and elderly man. Rock imagined himself, Shannon, and the sacred beast, Lucky. Anagami spoke to the person who had been sleeping, saying that this time sleep was helpful. His experience lets him notice events even while asleep. He mentioned with satisfaction that he had just gotten rid of a stone statue. This scene is touching, with a hint that the man might be having trouble with his eyesight. The villagers started to argue among themselves. Rock politely interrupted them to ask what they wanted to discuss. The men apologized, and then let the elder speak. A year has passed since the goblins left the Green Garden Swamp. Since then, things have turned for the worse. The crops disappeared, and later the village was attacked with the goblins stealing the last remaining food. Young men tried to defeat their enemies but failed. The village asked for help. Rock realized how difficult the situation was, but when goblins gather in large numbers, they become a dangerous force. The village asked the government and the guilds for help, but without a good reward, no one answered their call. Rock stopped to think. Helping everyone for free does not pay off, and he wants to make a living as an adventurer. Also, even if help is given now, the village will ask for assistance again. They need to learn how to survive on their own. For now, the boy asked for a map of the area and information about where the goblins are located. Taking a close look at the map, he studied the enemy's positions carefully. Rock realized it was possible to get rid of the goblins. He also remembered the cabbage patches they saw, which meant the village had enough food. The villagers felt grateful and thanked him, but Rock warned them that if nothing changes, this will happen again, and they will have to ask for help once more. To help prevent future problems, Rock offered to support the village's development. In return, he only asked for 20% of the profits in the future, once the village started to do well. The elder could not make this decision alone and needed approval from the whole community. Right now, they are busy with another task, so if all the residents join in, Rock agrees to take only 10%. The focus here is only on net profit, which means sales minus expenses and labor. Even if the village does not agree, the goblins will still be removed and food will be provided. The villagers started discussing what they had just heard. Rock patiently waited for their decision. The village has a problem with its location. It is hard to reach. The fields are neglected and there is no local production. Everything is bought from far away, and basic needs are not met. Rock could help for free, but this would not change anything. The villagers need to want change themselves. The elder asked for time to discuss with the community. Shannon asked what would happen next. Rock said the village would make a good profit and probably would not refuse. It is best to start preparing in the garden. Rock asked Shannon to let him know when the elder makes a decision. The elder apologized for the delay. People have different opinions. However, without action, things will not improve. Investing part of the profit in unexpected expenses seems reasonable to him. Rock agreed with this approach. When the villagers are ready to work together, the boys will handle both the goblins and the food. This way, the village will stay safe. A new round of talks started. Still, the village probably would not find a better offer. Then a man stepped out from the crowd, showing his doubts about Rock. His name was Warren. Wounded but stubborn, he did not trust the traveler's intentions. The village elder grew annoyed, saying this young man would have handled the goblins himself if he had not been injured. A few more wounded people joined him. Rock started searching the pocket of his cloak. He took out a small bottle of his homemade potion and offered it to Warren. The answer was a firm refusal. To prove it worked, Rock suggested giving the potion to Shannon. At first, there was some hesitation, but she decided to give it a try. She opened it and took a sip. Surprise filled her eyes as the potion turned out to be unexpectedly tasty. Surprise filled her because she always thought healing potions tasted sour and unpleasant. But this one was gentle and pleasant. A sense of lightness spread through her body. Lucky also wanted to try. He opened his mouth and Rock poured him a little. The wolf swallowed it and liked it too, jumped around happily, saying the potion feels refreshing and calming. Also mentioned that it tastes really good. Rock suggested Warren try again. Warren hesitated, thinking it might be a trick, but eventually decided to take a sip. Suddenly, all confusion faded as the pain disappeared and a sense of lightness filled the body. Surprise came quickly when trying this healing potion. Nothing like the old musty mixtures. The taste brings to mind fresh apple juice, sweet and slightly sour, clean and refreshing. The taste reminded him of his first love. Suddenly, the pain disappeared and the leg started to move again. It felt unbelievable. Rock noticed that the boys had another task to do, but promised that if they helped the village, he would share the potion with all the wounded. Warren quickly agreed that they would gladly accept help if Rock could heal them completely. The deputy headman introduced himself and apologized for the earlier mistrust. Now they offer their full support to Rock. The headman spoke to the villagers and no one objected. The agreement was signed. To celebrate, Rock suggested having a light snack. There were 6 days left to complete the task. He started preparing something tasty. Even plain cabbage, which used to be fed to horses, has become a real delicacy. Today, cabbage soup is on the menu. Cabbage also tastes great when fried. While preparing the mixture, a little healing potion was added. Those who felt unwell soon noticed an improvement. Rock asked Shannon for help and suggested bringing the orange ant Anson along to protect the villagers while gathering supplies. Uncertainty filled her mind and she doubted her own abilities. Still, Rock believed she could handle anything, even the local monsters. Orange Anson and Bee manage on their own, even though they are not tall. Shannon promises to do everything possible. A new road leading straight to Krontel is being planned. An increase in travelers will quickly help solve issues with food supplies and bringing in goods. Earlier, Rock started acting very energetically, which really surprised the locals. Magic of enhancement was cast, letting everyone move much faster for a short time. The feeling of lightness amazed everyone. Rock reminded everyone to stay careful. Shannon was impressed by how easily he encouraged so many people at once. He believes that with the right training, she will be able to do it. He promised to teach her, and now she is eager to learn. Next, he suggested that everyone should start building the road. A touch of magic helps in this moment. Everyone got to work with real enthusiasm. There was a lot of work to do, so they decided to take a short break. The road is already paved with stones and cleared. If work continues at this pace, it will finish by tomorrow. Lucky's magic makes the construction progress extremely fast. With the path now open, trade is about to begin. Rook's companions have turned out to be even more impressive than he imagined. Meanwhile, Rock was busy with tasks in the garden. Shannon brought him a hot drink. The young man was making plans for the next day and suggested she get some rest because she had worked harder than everyone else today. Still, the girl couldn't sleep peacefully knowing he was overwhelmed. Being called master makes him uncomfortable, and he asks her not to use that term. He does not see her as his subordinate. Shannon replied by saying that he is very kind. Meeting him brings her happiness. Fate also seemed to smile, bringing their paths together for a reason. He shared his plans. Tomorrow, the villagers will be asked to gather cabbage, and the day after, he will go to the capital to sell goods. Rock suspects that there is a shortage of cabbage in the city right now. He feels sure that it will sell out quickly. Still, he keeps in mind the unfinished guild task that needs his attention. They will definitely win. What matters even more is how they achieve this. Rock took a moment to consider Titus's question, but then noticed that Shannon was already fast asleep. In her sleep, she murmured about having a remarkable friend. Rock used magic to clear unnecessary thoughts from her mind. He truly appreciated her. All his magical creatures were already peacefully asleep. Rock tried to quietly leave the house, but Lucky did not let him go so easily. Surprise filled him when the wolf stayed awake. Tonight, they planned to catch rainbow dragonflies, which are easier to find after dark. Lucky mentioned the goblins. Rock believes that just having Lucky in the village already keeps the goblins away, and even if the goblins remain, other adventurers will eventually come and deal with them. Lucky felt a bit surprised but accepted his friend's decision. After the meeting, they set out to hunt. Catching rainbow dragonflies turned out to be exciting and went well. The next morning, Rock woke up to the sounds of someone making breakfast. Thinking Shannon had woken up early to make breakfast, he happily walked to the kitchen, thanked her, and offered to help. In the kitchen, a gargoyle told him everything would be ready in 3 minutes. Rock felt amazed. Feeling disappointed, he noticed that Shannon was not the one making breakfast. Gargoyle could not understand why. Rock quickly assured that everything was fine and once again offered his help. However, the gargoyle asked him to trust him, reminding that the demon lord used to rely on him to cook for everyone. Rock understood everything. Meanwhile, Shannon walked into the kitchen and wished everyone a good morning. She quickly apologized for falling asleep the night before. Rock told her not to worry and suggested they train together. The girl felt happy. She planned to make breakfast herself, but the gargoyle insisted on taking care of it instead. Rock accepted everything with gratitude, though with some hesitation. Meanwhile, Shannon asked how he was feeling. She suspected that Rock went out at night to catch dragonflies. He smiled and admitted he thought she was sound asleep, but he was not alone. Shannon wants to be helpful and also lend a hand. Rock is genuinely happy and promises to take her along next time. She is really counting on it. Meanwhile, breakfast was already ready. On the second day at noon, one of the villagers went to the market to sell cabbage and deliver dragonfly wings to the guild. Rock wanted to find out the market price of the harvest. He asked the traveler to pay attention. Now that the road is open until noon, there is time to sell some things at the market. Later, Rock plans to teach the residents how to catch rainbow dragonflies in large numbers. Plowing abandoned fields and growing cabbage, there will solve their food problems. They finally did it during the night. Rock praised the ants for doing an excellent job laying the stone path. Even the craftsmen were impressed. The ants glowed with happiness. A local woman thanked them. She used to believe all monsters were scary, but these ants were surprisingly kind girls. The ants felt touched by her words. The village elder approached Rock. The elder thanked everyone for the day. Finishing the road to the capital in 2 days seemed impossible to him. The villagers were prepared to give Rock 10% of the village's property. Rock agreed to the offer and asked to receive the money through the guild. The old man called him a savior and promised that every payment would arrive on time. Before dawn, they split up to reach Lake Oringo and find the green emerald owned by the green frog. They could not catch the wyverns this time, but they can try again later. The next day, Roka felt a strange sense of anticipation. A sense that Isaac would arrive earlier than expected made him uneasy. Fate decided that today it is time to give your very best effort. A friendly bird landed on his shoulder. Rock was surprised to find a chick in the small garden. The ant girl thinks her father is wrong. She explained that this was not just an ordinary bird, but a bird from the sky. The main character felt surprised. He believed that the birds in the sky should be much bigger. But the ant explained that while they were collecting materials, they found a rare eye. When the bird swallowed it, the bird became smaller. Rock was not very surprised. He decided to turn the chick into stone. The child felt happy. Rock added that soon everything would be back to normal. For now, nothing threatens them. A sudden strong smell filled the air, signaling that something was wrong. Rock thought it might smell like Lucky, though he wasn't sure. Curiosity struck him about the last time that person had actually taken a bath. Lucky felt awkward because they had spent the whole day together. He was sure there had been no soap or towel. After a brief pause, Lucky muttered that maybe he had washed 2 days ago. The attempt to get out of the situation clearly failed. Lucky got angry and started grooming himself even though he wasn't taking a bath. But Rocco wasn't happy with this. The hero began the mission to catch and give Lucky a bath. Everyone had been waiting for this moment. Lucky took it as a challenge. Complete confidence filled him that no one would ever catch him. Rock started to read the spell aloud. Magic was cast to boost everyone except Lucky. The effect would not last long, but it made them stronger and faster. Everyone welcomed the extra power. Still, Lucky boldly warned everyone that they were foolish to think any magic could defeat him. Petra, the queen of the orange ants, reacted first. She rushed forward like lightning and attacked the legendary Fenrir. Lucky didn't see her as a threat, especially when she worked alone. But there was still something to keep in mind. Patrick quickly threw a web at him. Lucky dodged easily until he noticed all the ants suddenly become active at once. Surrounded on all sides, he found himself trapped. Sticky threads came flying from every direction. They wrapped around his paws, and the proud wolf fell. His confidence fell with him. The orange team celebrated another victory. Petra came up with a clever plan to help Lucky relax. Rock hurried over to encourage him to finally behave well. But Lucky broke free, launched a counterattack, and tied everyone up. Immobilizing Lucky was the right choice, but keeping him restrained took a huge amount of magical power. The orange ants were visibly upset. At that moment, a gargoyle appeared. Gargoyle, once a top warrior in the Demon Lord's army, steps up to take the challenge. His duel with Lucky, the proud sacred beast, becomes a true test of honor. Still, Lucky doubted any rivals had a real chance. People always underestimated him. The gargoyle, though less powerful, belonged to a proud lineage. Over 100 years, it gathered knowledge, and the support of the rock was valuable. Being underestimated often worked in its favor. Just one swing of Lucky's tail was enough to knock the opponent out of the game. Waiting for the next opponent, Shannon steps into the ring and offers a sparring match. Fenrir, known for his defiance, faces the elf blessed by her teacher. Loki watches with interest, curious to see her abilities. Shannon grabs the sword and makes the first move, but in just a moment Lucky is already behind her. Fenrir laughs, knowing nothing can touch him at this speed. Yet Shannon keeps fighting. She lands a flurry of punches on Lucky. Turns out her sword skills are not so bad after all. The attacks might be wild, but suddenly they start to land with more accuracy. Lucky is not as confident anymore. Stuck with no way out, he cannot understand how she made him respect her strength. Shannon, feeling pleased, asks him to be a good boy and go wash up. But something unexpected happens. The tip of Lucky's tail rests on her neck. This clearly signals that resisting any longer is useless. Shannon lowers her head. She gives up. Lucky praises her for moving well, showing that daily practice is paying off. The elf lights up at the compliment. Now it is Rock's turn. Lucky gets ready for the main event, facing off against the person who wants to give him a bath the most. The warm-up is over. Lucky is ready for any hit. Suddenly, everything changes. A sweet scent caught his attention overhead. A bird from the sky was there, holding a flower in its beak. Lucky's eyes started to close and his body grew weak. He was falling asleep right in front of us. In just a minute, he was already snoring peacefully. Fate recognized the flower as the sleep-inducing sapoflor. Gratitude was shown to the heavenly bird. Рок пропонує всім разом доглядати за Лакі. Усі радо погоджуються. That same day, near the dungeons of New Leaf, Isaac feels frustrated because the journey has taken much longer than expected. He really dislikes Rock, thinks it is. Traitor. Amy disagrees and believes they were the ones betrayed first. This makes Isaac even more frustrated. Anger fills him. How can anyone worry about a simple porter? He fought on the front lines and reached S rank himself. Still, something bothers him. Others also reached this level without him. He will not allow it. Isaac wants to win and show everyone he is in charge. Karek is holding Orango's eggs. Isaac immediately refuses to help collect them. Very few rainbow dragons are left. Amy tries to explain. She says Isaac already knows this. There is no need to collect everything. Their main goal is something completely different. Kara tries to figure out where this confidence comes from. Isaac, however, does not want to listen to her. She is frustrated because he accepts orders without even knowing the details, and then just adds participants to a group. The girls only help because they have no choice. After this request, they will leave. Isaac does not care. The main thing is that they complete the task. Next, orders will be given. They are getting closer to their destination. The driver lets them know they have arrived. Isaac pays and leaves the rest as a tip. However, this was not enough. The driver brought them much closer to the underground entrance than anyone else ever had. Without extra payment, he considered it a waste of time. Isaac reluctantly hands over the remaining money. Now it should be enough. The coachman thanks him and heads back. Isaac feels anger building inside. Everyone around seems to be against him. Still, he keeps going. A new underground chamber appears in front of them. Only 4 days left until the request deadline. The group is making progress. They stepped into an unfamiliar place filled with mysteries. Meanwhile, in another part of the world, everyone is happily petting Lucky. Deep inside the underground of New Leaf, the only goal is to uncover what is hidden within. They kept walking in silence until they came across Orango. Isaac planned to catch them on their way back. Kara felt afraid while Amy stayed indifferent. Isaac did not get an answer. They reached the water. Strangely, there were no rainbow dragonflies or green frogs at all. The Orango were still around, but Isaac did not find any eggs. Collecting the materials needed seemed impossible in these conditions. It seemed to him that the guild had set them up without even checking the real situation. If that was the case, the blame was clear. Isaac planned to file a complaint against the guild after he returned. His thoughts were interrupted by a sudden threat. A goblin jumped out from the bushes and attacked. The swordsman had not expected this kind of ambush. The goblin paid for his boldness. The punishment came immediately. Isaac blames the guild for not warning about the goblins. He says it was irresponsible. Now, more trouble has come as a whole pack of goblins has appeared. Another goblin knight appeared ahead. The appearance of high-level goblins suggests this place might be their lair. Isaac did not wait and rushed at the enemies. He chose to attack. The goblin knight struck back with a powerful counterattack. Swords clashed in the fight. Isaac remembered the boy saying that with Rock, they were under divine protection. Now everything felt directionless, like being lost at sea without a compass. Frustration tightened his jaw and disbelief filled his mind. He believed it was true. The idea of losing never crossed his mind. Suddenly, a fiery spear strikes through the goblin in a surprise attack. The girls step in to stop the fight. Concern shows on their faces as the situation grows more dangerous. Isaac grumbles that he could have handled something this small himself. Kara comments that the fight looked exhausting. This only makes him more irritated. Meanwhile, goblins surrounded the squad. Emmy urges everyone to focus on the enemy and break through the ring. The fight grew more intense, but the goblin knight finally fell. He might have been the leader. For now, the danger has passed. Isaac suggests they should not waste time and go find the wyvern before returning to the guild. The girls agree, though not very eagerly. They arrive at the wyvern lair. There are quite a few of them here. Isaac shares the plan. He will distract the wyvern while Amy uses magic to damage its wings. This way, it will be easier to finish them off. 2 targets have been selected who are keeping away from the group. Emmy nods in agreement. Isaac leaps up and charges toward the enemies. The weavers start shouting. The rockets lift into the air as planned. Isaac gives the signal. Emmy releases fiery arrows. They cut through the air and strike the wyverns. The creatures fall, and Isaac attacks without hesitation. The monsters are defeated and everything is going well. Isaac is now ready for the next battle. Suddenly, another wyvern sneaks up from behind, heading straight for the girls. The long tail sweeps them off their feet. Isaac rushes in to help his friends. Kara angrily accuses him of not protecting them. She is sure that Rock would never have let this happen. Her anger shows how deeply disappointed she feels. Isaac loses his temper and shouts at Kara, insisting that Rock had nothing to do with this. He could not have known about another wyvern. Girls should be able to protect themselves. Kara is shocked and realizes this is not the person she once trusted. Kara dismisses Isaac's story and tells Amy to come with her. She believes they will not survive with a leader like Isaac. Amy is shocked but tries to stay calm. Isaac desperately asks her to stay, but Kara stands firm. She cannot be with him anymore. Watching them walk away, Isaac sees Amy trying to convince Kara, but it doesn't work. Isaac's eyes lose their brightness. Kara tells her friend that things will be easier for them with Rock. At the same moment, Isaac grips the handle of his sword tighter. Even she has left him. In his mind, the image of Rock appears. He remembers when the teacher admitted that Rock was better than him. The teacher also felt disappointed in him. Every word that was said before turned out to be true. The weavers have surrounded Isaac, their jaws open. Driven by a surge of determination, he declares he will defeat these creatures, drives the sword into the ground, refuses to let fate win. Amy and Kara realize the situation is serious. Isaac calls for the Great Cross. The girls hide behind a rock. A massive column of fire shoots up from the ground. The explosion can be seen even from the village. Shannon wants to say something to Rock, but he already understands. This is the work of Isaac and Kara. Rock asks Shannon to leave with him, and she agrees. The others decide to stay in the village and keep working. No one objects. Lucky carries the hopes of many. Smoke swirls at the entrance to the underground. 3 figures emerge from the darkness. One of them is struggling to stand. This is Isaac, supported by Amy. Everything was turned inside out and all the materials were burned to ashes. Everything was destroyed out of spite for the year. Isaac thinks that now the boys will not be able to finish the job. The dirty trick leaves Rock surprised. Shannon suggests going to the capital to buy the necessary materials at the market. This approach is not completely fair, but it ensures success. She has seen these materials for sale outside the city. Rock believes there are still some wyverns left. He suggests checking the area near the capital. Isaac, pleased, sends them off to search. He looks forward to meeting again. Rock says nothing in response. While traveling, Rock's team comes across some injured goblins and ducks. Once again, they look into the underground chamber. The body of the goblin leader lies before them. This goblin was their leader. Now the village is safe. Lucky feels completely satisfied. He confirmed that everything really had turned to dust. Rock admits that Isaac has impressive magical abilities. His power is strong, but anything that could have been given to the guild has been destroyed. Scales and claws are torn apart. Just as the group was about to leave, Lucky discovered something interesting behind the rocks. These were wyvern eggs, untouched and well hidden. Lucky wants to taste them, but Rock suggests taking them to the mini-farm. The group returns to the village. The locals feel relieved now that the goblin threat is gone. Shannon suggests starting work on clearing the marshy area around New Leaf. However, Rock points out that the map is outdated, and those swamps are now dungeons. Shannon understands. While waiting for Isaac and his team to submit the materials to the guild, Rock focuses on improving the village. He teaches people how to plant cabbage and how to catch rainbow dragonflies. The day of departure arrives. Rock feels a bit uneasy. The entrance to the village looks more like a guarded fortress, and this confuses him. Patrick explains that now, with this structure, the village will stay safe even if monsters attack. The elder wants to get Rock's attention. All the residents bow to the year to show their gratitude. From now on, they will follow his advice and continue to develop the village. The village feels grateful for Patri and all the heroes. Cabbage has become the main treasure, and the village is now called Capustiane Caosino. Everyone is waiting for their return. Rock says goodbye with a smile. Happiness fills him. Now it's time to deal with Isaac's squad. Their journey leads to the capital city, Kroto. The final awaits them there. Heading to the capital city of the kingdom, Christu. At the market, Rock and Shannon start their search. One of the victims called them. Rock asks about sales. The cabbage sells very quickly, Maybe because cabbage soup was replaced with stuffed cabbage rolls, served every day, and everyone was allowed to try them. Additionally, the special product sold well too. This brought Rock a good amount of money. The farmer gives him a share of the sales as agreed. Pleased with the results, Rock suggests buying a demon cow to help the village grow. The village feels grateful to Rock because everything they have now was made possible by him. The preparations are complete. Rock says goodbye to the village. Only one step remains. In the guild, Isaac and his team were already waiting for Rock. Isaac waited impatiently. All the necessary materials were already on the table. This seemed to take Rock by surprise. Isaac thought Rock ran away because he couldn't gather the things he needed. But Rock will not do that. Isaac boldly mocks him. He believes that Rock has nothing. Rock ignores it and asks if the materials have been submitted. He wants to resolve this as soon as possible. Isaac thinks Rock is just pretending to be tough and trying to show off. The guild begins the inspection. There is a brief pause. Isaac hopes to see his opponent kneel down and apologize to him. Rock tries not to upset the other person, but knows someone else will need an apology. Isaac cannot understand what is going on. The head manager announces, Roka's team has delivered 20 pairs of rainbow dragonfly wings, 3 orango eggs, and 15 emeralds. The prize in the competition was awarded to Mr. Roku. The manager adds that Isaac cannot argue with this because Rock handed in 13 more scales, 10 claws, 60 wings, 9 wyvern eggs, and 45 other materials ahead of time. Isaac pretended to search around as if he were fighting a monster. Only Rock seemed unsure about what was really happening. Rock provided evidence. The documents were stamped with the seal of the village of Choshino. The situation shocked Isaac. Given what Rock had seen at the entrance to the dungeon, it seemed likely that they had failed to get the materials they needed. Shannon was told to say that if this was true, it was best to return to the royal capital, buy the materials there, and deliver them to the guild. She found the needed materials for sale outside the city. Rook believes that Isaac expected him not to have all the necessary materials, so he would have to rush out and buy the missing ones in the race to win. Even then, they had enough supplies, and the items Isaac bought at a high price actually came from their own stock. Without Isaac's greed, he would not have spent so much money. Isaac feels very angry and hurt because Rock went into the dungeon earlier. Rock explains that they studied the map carefully and found a shortcut from Kroto to the dungeon, but it is risky. Isaac grows angry, but Kara interrupts him and reveals that she already knew about it. Isaac feels upset because she did not mention it before. Kara firmly held her ground. Going through the dangerous forest did not seem right to her. Isaac dislikes this because for them, it is a competition to maintain their S-rank adventurer status. He tries hard to defeat him. It seems like Rock is the only one truly eager to win. Isaac clenches his teeth in anger. Rock thanked him for defeating the goblins because they had been bothering the villagers of Choshino, and the guild could not be paid for help. Rock thinks the guild chose this task partly to support the village. This seems like a good plan. Titus said that Kid admitted everything, including working with Isaac. According to the leader, this marked the end of their group. Defeated, Isaac dropped to his knees and bowed to Victor. Victor. That is how the case was resolved. The hearing ended. After being questioned, Isaac and the others were given their punishment. Amy and Kara left their friend because Fenrir was chasing them and their lives were in danger. Because of this, they were demoted to SR rank. The S-ranked group was disbanded. Kara and Amy wanted to form a team with Rock, but he politely declined. Later, they began to trust each other again and formed their own team. Kid was sentenced to prison. An investigation into his past crimes has started, and his sentence may become longer. Isaac escaped a life of slavery but spent 6 months working in the mines. If he chooses to become an adventurer, he will have to start from the very beginning. Rock wanted to talk about himself, but his thoughts were interrupted when he noticed Lucky. Rock did not have any special thoughts. He just felt sorry for his childhood friend. The friends grew up together but never truly understood who each other really was. This gave them something to think about. These friends were the reason his relationship with his family fell apart. Now Rock has learned to accept the pain of betrayal. From now on, trust in friends will guide his actions and power will be used to support them. Rock asked Lucky to handle everything the next day. Lucky asked to be trusted. Shannon called everyone to eat. And with that, another problem was solved. Tonight, stuffed cabbage would be served. At that time, Rock did not realize he would soon become involved in a case directly connected to the royal capital. Ogres appeared near the royal capital because they followed the movement of people, and were drawn by the city's activity. The ogres were advancing. Their fists pounding the ground pushed people back. Things looked bad. If this keeps up, they will destroy the castle. One man suggested that they should hold on until the knights arrive. Another disagreed, believing that the knights would take everything for themselves. The wounded were regaining their strength, but the ogre was already right behind them. He raised his arm to strike. Suddenly, Rock and Lucky arrived. The wolf managed to block the ogre's blow by grabbing his arm. Rock apologized to everyone for being late because he had other things to do. They left the campfire for him. Roka could be trusted. The others left him with the wolf and went to counterattack. The ogre's hand was still caught in the wolf's jaws. With his other hand, the ogre swung at Rock. Amy appeared behind the ogre and cast a spell, saving Rock. People should not let themselves become too relaxed. Rock asked Potter to take charge. Leading others comes naturally to her. Potter divided everyone into groups B, C, and D. Group B will join forces with Gorgola, while Shannon fights alongside Rock, using support magic to strengthen the team. Now is the time for everyone to attack. The whole team attacked the ogre using weapons and magic. Together they defeated one ogre, while Fenrir brought down another with a single blow. The wolf found this attack boring, as it was not even a warm-up. Lucky is very strong, even though the ogres themselves are about S rank. Patra seems to be doing well. She can organize the adventurers and fight the ogres at the same time. Together with Shannon, forms an excellent team, just as expected from the Queen of Ants. Someone smiled. Rock turned and saw Patra and Gorgula in front of him, attacking the monster. Gorgula cast a wind magic orb at the ogre, but was shocked when the magic had no effect. Rock remembered that the magic of the gargoyle was still sealed, and it was unlikely he could break it on his own. Something needs to be done. Help arrived. The team stood together, surrounded by defeated enemies. The last one falls. The team cheers. They did it. As expected from Rock's team, the people of the capital are safe. Yet ogres are rarely seen in this area. For 10 to attack at the same time is unheard of. Rock paused, trying to understand what was happening. Petra cast a healing spell on the walls. People appreciate her for providing medical care. If they are truly grateful, Kara does not mind accepting a gift like new clothes. Everyone who has received a part of her magic stays in her heart. She will probably never change. A group of Imperial Knights on horseback arrived in the capital. Captain of the Imperial Knights, Marcus, thanked the Rock's team for their help in studying the ogres. To find out why the ogres attacked today, the Knights will take the bodies for further investigation. No objections will be accepted. Rock and Shannon exchanged surprised looks as someone slammed their hand on the table and shouted at Marcus. The head of the guild was there, scolding the captain for trying to steal the monsters they had just defeated. Marcus explained again that this is important for the investigation. A gathering of ogres in the capital is unusual and needs careful examination. He questioned Titus about the past. The guild leader felt upset. He believed the amount offered was too low. Marcus explained that this was a financial reward for helping with the operation, not a payment for trade. The captain of the Knights showed no signs of embarrassment after the fight. He refused to cooperate. Titus grabbed him by the chest. The ones who fought and risked their lives were the true adventurers. That is why Marcus must provide fair compensation. The captain boldly asked Titus to let him go. It seems he is ready to stand up to the knight. Titus was known as a skilled fighter. Administrative staff from the guild interrupted them. Rika arrived with the deputy captain, and together they led the conversation. Titus regretted getting involved. A smile appeared on Marcus's face. Rock walked into the office with Patria around his neck, and Shannon stood next to them. Without waiting, Titus said he was aware of the situation. If this kind of mistreatment continues, all the adventurers will leave this place. Adventurers play a crucial role in a country's development and act as a main line of defense. They solve people's problems, hunt monsters, and explore dungeons. The result is fewer victims from monster attacks. People buy mysterious items from dungeons to become stronger. These are just some of the reasons, but Marcus understands there is more. Nothing happens. Rock looks surprised because Titus rarely shows so much emotion. The connection between the guild leader and the knight is genuine. At Roken, Titus remembers there is something he needs to do. Recently, the number of thefts of magic stones called burning stones has gone up in the capital. With no witnesses, the investigation became very difficult. That is why Titus wants Rock to take on the case again. At first, the young man hesitated, but the head of the guild reassured him that he trusted his skills completely. Payment is guaranteed, even if the culprit is not found. If the culprit is caught, there will be a bonus. Rock started to explain how he would do it, but got interrupted by a very loud growl from Shannon's stomach. Shannon feels embarrassed because everyone heard it. After leaving the guild, the team stopped for a bite to eat and lingered for a while. The main dish was meat called croton, cooked on a skewer. It was not expensive, but its fat made it melt in the mouth. Shannon feels uneasy because of what happened earlier. All the boys and the guild leader are busy with an important conversation. There is no need for her to worry because Rock was just hungry. With everyone fed, it's time to move on. Weapons and gear are ready nearby. The guys walked into a store that sells weapons and gear. His name is Matthias. Rumors reached him about what had happened to Roka's old friends. They once mocked his supportive magic, but relying only on laughter is not the best way to stay safe. Rock was surprised that Matthias knew about his divine protection. Of course, the shop owner would know this, since he runs a weapon store, even though their equipment isn't the best. Rock smiled. Matthias asked what brought the boy to the store and noticed the ants. Rock explained that he wanted to pick out some equipment. The seller noticed the crown on Patra's head and realized she was the queen of the orange ants. Next, he saw a gargoyle among a group of skilled warriors. He mentioned that Rock was acting just like usual and let the boy pick whatever he needed. The team seems to have already chosen their equipment. Rock asked Shannon and Gargulia if they were happy with their choice. Shannon said she trusted her usual equipment, and Gargulia's main strength was magic. Rock noticed that Patra had picked out a staff for herself. She said she wants to help people with magic like he does, but is not sure if she can use it herself. Rock smiled, sat down next to Patry, and placed his hand on her head. There was strength in that gesture, so it was worth a try. Together, they will practice enhancement magic, which suits a queen commander well. Rock told Matthias that the equipment selection is complete. A stranger walked into the shop, and the owner apologized for the crowded space. Quietly, the man moved closer to Patra from behind and kicked her hard with his foot. The ant took off, then fell, and Rock hurried over to check if it was hurt. The stranger said angrily that monsters did not belong in the store. Roka was called a failed animal trainer, which ruined the peaceful mood. The stranger believes that Rock acts superior only because he has a small group of followers who are ready to do whatever he wants. With a smile, the man asked how Rock sees himself. Grabbing Patra, a soft squeak escaped her, and Rock quickly checked if she was okay. The queen ant says she is fine. In a real surprise attack drill, if this had been a true hit, the attacker would have gone down first. A strike like that is nothing for an A-rank monster. The man shouted the word monster, demanding attention and asking again if they realized who was standing in front of them. No one on the team recognized him. Patra thought he was just a common troublemaker, while Gargoyle believed he was someone who liked to pick fights with girls. After calling everyone dirty peasants, the stranger finally said his name. His name is Neasley. He is not only a noble aristocrat, but also the likely future leader of the Order of Night. He suggested that arguing with him would mean getting into a conflict with the whole order. Roke stays calm under threats and firmly asks for an apology to Patra. Neasley blocked Shannon's path and told her to take the monsters away. The elf, who lived for centuries, understood very well the risk of defying the order. Calmly but firmly, she asked if they were sure they were acting according to the law. With a scornful smile, Nestle called her an old witch and said elves who live among humans are no better. That comment sparked a dangerous curiosity in Shannon. Fire of anger flashes in Shannon's eyes as she cannot forgive the insult aimed at Rock, who was called a sly animal tamer. Without hesitation, the girl draws her sword and steps in front of him. Misal firmly decides to teach the rude person a lesson right away, treating him like a troublemaker who doesn't even understand words. Her courage is unwavering, and she is ready to show what real manners mean. The man reaches for his sword, certain that the elf will soon regret her actions. Another stranger appears behind the wall, creating a sense of unease. The boys quickly looks around. Misal notices a stranger, whose presence makes the situation more tense. The atmosphere grows even more uneasy. The man is visibly nervous, with sweat appearing on his forehead. It looks like the situation has gotten out of control. Misal quickly explains everything to the stranger. As the leader of the Order of Knights, There is sincere regret for the actions of a subordinate, and an apology is offered to Patra. Fortunately, the Ant Queen was not harmed. Seeing that Patrick was not offended, Rock decides to let it go this time. The leader of the order apologizes again and uses Rock's name. Hearing this, Rock is surprised and wonders if this man actually knows him. The leader has known Rock for a long time because, in his opinion, only losers have never heard of the S-ranked adventurer from the capital. The leader asks Misal if they have finished the investigation. Misal says no. The leader then goes to the shop owner and tries to find out how often the firestones disappear. The owner explains that 1 or 2 stones disappear every week. Rock wants to know if there are any signs of thieves today. The knights never managed to understand why the thieves acted the way they did. Now the stones disappear every 2 or 3 days, while in the past they were stolen even more often. The leader asks Rock to let them know if any useful information is found. It is time to return to the main office. The knights walk away while Rock and Shannon watch them leave. Shannon expected the leader to seem more threatening. Without the talk with Titus, Rock might have believed this person was truly good. Suddenly, Rock remembers an important detail and asks Mateo to show the places where all the firestones disappeared. The team needs as much information as possible. The shop owner takes Roca and Mateo to the west door. Theo walks over to the desk and shows the stone lying on top of it. The room has 2 entrances, so the thief could have slipped in without anyone noticing. The thief only took a single firestone. If making money was the goal, he would have stolen something more valuable, like a weapon. The boy wants to find out the real reason behind these thefts. The owner points to a tightly locked chest, explaining that none of the stones inside have disappeared. Only stones kept elsewhere have gone missing. Unable to draw any conclusions from the information available, Rock walks over to Mateo and asks for permission to summon his familiar, since it takes up a lot of space. Mateo agrees, so Rock begins the ritual. The wolf steps out of the bracelet, struggling to fit into the small, crowded room. Fenrir complains about being summoned to such a cramped space and does not hide his frustration. Mateo had heard rumors about such a familiar, but only now, seeing everything for himself, did he become certain. The main challenge is whether Fenrir can pick up the thief's scent. With so many different smells in the room, this will not be easy. With so many different scents around, picking out the right one becomes a real challenge even for a wolf. Mateo is amazed at how this familiar can enter the bracelet. Watching Roque handle the object skillfully, the owner cannot hide his admiration. Theo talks with Shannon and recalls how, when they first met, Rock was a bit awkward. It is hard to imagine now that he ever went through such a phase. The owner wants to share something else with Shannon, but Rock stops him because Shannon would find it interesting to hear the details. Mateo apologizes to Patrick and wants to give a gift as a sign of respect. A backpack made from mithril, carefully forged by hand, becomes his gift to her. This strong yet lightweight present will be very useful. Rock is surprised by such a rare material. Weapons made from this metal are reserved for kings and the elite. Rock hesitates to accept such a valuable gift, but Mateo has no objections. It turns out the family ordered a backpack for their child, but the child became seriously ill and will not be able to use it. The family asked the craftsman to decide what to do with the item, but he could not bring himself to destroy something made with so much effort. He will be glad if the boys put it to use, especially since he has already been paid for his work. Rock understands everything and accepts the gift, but Mateo wants to make a few changes. He asks to come back in a few days. The next day, a group of armed orange ants stands in front of the wild boars. Shock fills Rock as he realizes he managed to defeat a huge boar with just one strike, especially since this beast is ranked B. The ants keep fighting and are making great progress. The young man is impressed by how quickly they adapted, as everyone learned to handle the weapons on their first try. He believed they were used to fighting with their bare hands and did not expect their combat skills to improve so much once they had weapons. Rock watches the ants with great interest and waits eagerly to see what happens next. The era of boar slavery has ended as new weapons gave ants the opportunity to test their skills in battle, and they had no trouble controlling the animals. Aunt B walks up to Rock. The boy asks if she is hurt after the fight. She quickly shakes her head no and gives a calm smile. Patra calls to him cheerfully and touches his head. Rock understands her right away without words, sits down next to her, and gently strokes her shaky shell. Other ants cheerfully pile onto Rock. the happy team celebrating with hugs, while the boy hears a strange, inviting whisper and feels confused. A mysterious voice announces that a sacred creature, the wyvern, will soon be born and asks if Rock would like to become its friend, even though the ants are already quite nice and strong. A new ally will arrive soon, so everyone watches the rocking eggs with anticipation and feels happy about the successful incubation. Rock gives thanks to the sky bird that watched over the eggs because no one expected them to hatch so soon, and luck fills the air with every breath. Even Lucky feels surprised and a bit upset, since now Rock has befriended the wyvern and gained the chance to upgrade 3 objects in this mini-dimension. The upgrade menu appears. The boy quickly chooses hot springs, a mine, and a banana garden for the mini-monster city. Hot springs now shine on the hills, offering unique experiences for those who bathe in them, and the mine allows forging weapons and armor from special ores. The banana garden is open for picking, and Rock enjoys watching the mini-monster town happily share the harvest with laughter and cheerful songs. The suggestion is to return to the guild and report that the task to subdue the giant rank B boar is complete. Riding on Fenrir, the group travels along the road. Rock explains to Shannon his idea to cook the giant beast's meat and sell the rest of the goods at the market. Thoughts about fur and fangs are interrupted when Lucky suddenly hears something unusual. A ball of fire hovers above the group, burning right above a few wooden crosses. The wolf quickly moves in to check out this strange sight. The team follows Lucky and arrives at the crosses, but the bullet is gone as if it was never there, leaving a tense silence in the air. Rock carefully scans the area. The ground feels warm, as if it recently absorbed fire, but no visible traces remain. Shannon senses a faint magical energy spreading from the crosses into the ground, as if someone long ago placed a protective charm here. A low growl comes from Fenrir, ears alert. The boy realizes this could be a spell or a newly set trap waiting for careless travelers. The team marks this place on the map and keeps moving forward, planning to come back later with better preparation to solve the mystery. Shannon gently tugs on Rock's sleeve and admits in a shaky voice that ghosts scare her, so it is hard for her to stand here even for a minute. Rock gently strokes the girl's head and reassures her that they are close. If she ever needs to, she can hide in the mini garden of monsters where she will feel safe. Standing by the grave, the boy leans down to look at the inscription on the stone and notices an elegant symbol carefully carved into it. The inscription on the stone reads, "Here lies the wise Damaord." The words have a calm, peaceful feeling, as if the earth itself gently protects her memory. Rock remembers old legends where Damord was called the Great Sage, her name passed down through generations as a symbol of extraordinary wisdom. According to legend, she traveled alone to the Demon King's castle and convinced them to sign a peace treaty, bringing many years of peace to the country. Shannon smiles with genuine excitement because even if the story is a bit embellished, the woman's strong character is truly remarkable and inspires respect. The sun starts to set, painting the sky red, so it is time to head back to the guild and report that the task is complete. As soon as they step inside, loud complaints fill the room, making everyone present look around nervously. It turns out that Knight Measle is upset because the reward in the offer is limited and doubts if anyone will agree to do such work. Now is a good time to learn more, and the knight quickly recognizes yesterday's beast tamer, then hands him a parchment with the task in a way that everyone can see. The request is about cleaning and inspecting a sewer where some used firestones were found. The pay offered for this job is only 30 gold coins. Measle believes this small detail is unimportant because the respected future commander of the Holy Knights expects the request to be accepted right away. He says that the guild exists to support the order and calls Rika useless and ugly, which stirs up anger among the others. The registrar asks if those were really his words, and the knight, with a smug smile, confirms his offensive statement. Rika's face shows her anger, but she holds it back, knowing that an argument would only cause problems for everyone waiting in line. The administrator smiles politely and coldly promises to temporarily put the request on the notice board, making it clear that the final decision belongs to the guild. An angry knight slammed the door and walked away, saying he did not care as long as the task was accepted as soon as possible. Rock advises Rita to avoid escalating the conflict and to learn from the situation, because such arguments only increase tension and harm the business environment. Carefully reading the requirements, He thinks about whether it is worth taking on the risky sewer job for such low pay and looks for a better option. The first steps into the sewer bring a strong, unpleasant smell. The boys cover their noses with their hands as used firestones are somewhere in this rotten place. Rock casts a cleansing spell on the damp walls. Greenish symbols light up, but this is not enough to gather solid proof of the theft. Shannon bravely moves forward, hoping to find unknown traces left by the thieves and add new details to the story of the missing stones. The floor is slippery with mud and mold, so every step needs to be careful because any mistake could end with a painful fall into the foul-smelling sludge. Wanting to prove her skill, the girl lunges forward, but her shoe slips, and she suddenly tips toward the dark water. The quick reflexes of the young man save his partner as strong arms lift her over the foul stream and gently set her down on solid ground. Shannon's genuine belief in herself brings a warm smile, but Rock knows that overconfidence often leads adventurers into trouble. Eyes meet in the dim light, quietly reflecting gratitude and a silent reminder to stay united, because supporting each other is stronger than any spell. As night approaches, the group decides to head back. This way they can avoid risks in the dark and get some rest after a long mission. Rock suggests visiting the hot springs, and this idea excites Shannon, who looks forward to relaxing in the soothing warmth. There's a surprise at the camp. The baby wyverns are now flying almost 2 meters high because the gargoyle and the skybird have been carefully training them. The boy is impressed by the flying skills of the stone gargoyle, realizing its large wings are not just for decoration, but are built for real movement. Proud of its strength, the monster promises to carry 2 passengers, so Rock suggests flying around the fortress to test this ability. As the boy approaches Shannon, he shares his idea for a short trip to the thermal caves, and the thought of flying together makes her heartbeat quicken. At a simple signal, the gargoyle spreads its wings and the couple settles in, getting ready for an unusual journey above the rooftops of the night city. As the stone neighborhoods shrink under the monster's wing, the rare chance to see the world from above gives Roku a real sense of the moment's greatness. The flickering streetlights create a lace-like pattern of light on the ground, while Shannon quietly holds her breath, captivated by the scene in front of her. Distant streets look like a carpet of lights, and Rock thinks about how to show this beauty to his friends, hoping to share the inspiration brought by the night. At the end of the journey, the boy sincerely thanks the gargoyle for its efforts, knowing that the creature rarely gets a chance to be helpful outside of battle. The monster feels proud knowing it has shown it can help, and eagerly looks forward to facing new challenges with its friends. There is no need for Gargoyle to worry about fighting, since Rock values her skills in washing, cooking, and lifting them into the sky, which already makes the stone creature an essential ally. Dreams of breaking the seal of age often fill her thoughts, but fear lingers that losing the spell might also mean losing herself, leaving only an empty shell as cold as stone. Rock suggests waiting until the wyverns grow stronger, then everyone can take to the sky together. The gargoyle likes this idea even more than its favorite ice cream. A boy dreams of having a flying companion strong enough to carry him as a passenger. The gargoyle remembers an old friend, a large and powerful griffin who would gladly help. Her advice is to visit the griffin after finishing the current mission, as she believes it could become a strong and valuable member of the diverse team. Now it is time to return to the camp where the hot springs are steaming. Their warmth promises to wash away the tiredness of a long day and bring a peaceful moment of relaxation at night. Bright orange ants leap into the warm water, splashing everywhere and creating a fountain of droplets. The scene is both charming and funny for Shannon, who did not expect them to bathe together so eagerly. Loki and Fenrir dive in together, but the wolf really dislikes regular baths. The spacious and deep springs let him hide even his tail underwater. Grateful for the time Rock led him out of the burning underground, Fenrir now rewards the boy with a satisfied growl as he buries himself almost completely in the warmth. Rock answers with a fist bump, silently admitting that without his friend's help, he would be long gone. This short ritual seals their loyalty just as strongly as any solemn oath. After swimming, the gargoyle reveals a hidden cave with shimmering stalactites, and the group is amazed by the beautiful glow of the minerals. The next morning, Patra tries on the mithril breastplate. The silvery metal shines in the sunlight and fits the Ant Queen's slender figure perfectly. Rock warmly thanks Mateo for the valuable gift. The master explains that forging child armor for ants has become an unexpected creative outlet for him. He used only a small amount of material, so he asks not to worry about costs and instead to test the armor in action to see how comfortable it is in battle. Mateo also made tiny armor for the entire army of ants, hoping the shiny breastplates would greatly boost the little warrior's morale. Patra confidently moves her antenna, promising to test the armor at the next training session, and Rock senses the growing strength of their unusual partnership between human and insect. Lucky jokingly asks if he will get a mithril collar. Mateo laughs and says that first he will need to master lessons in obedience with strict discipline. Friends laugh together and accept a new challenge as they prepare to meet the griffin and face a possible danger that hunts for the firestones. Rock studies the route through mountain passes while vultures nest high above the clouds and a gargoyle opens a map, tracing imaginary paths in the sky. The team settles down to sleep in the warm evening quiet, surrounded by the scent of pine trees as the first stars appear overhead, hinting at another day of adventure ahead. Rock hands Mateo a heavy pouch and explains that it is not payment for the armor, but a gesture of thanks for the skill, warm heart, and the hands of a blacksmith who gives life to metal. If the master refuses, the money will go to children or to broke adventurers who might one day need strong armor for a dangerous journey through dark woods. For a moment, Mateo feels awkward, realizing his pride almost offended the boy. He slowly lets his forced smile soften into a genuine look of gratitude. Rock jokes that the coins have been around since the days on the S-rank team, so the master smiles, puts the pouch away in a deep drawer and promises to use them wisely. As the friends wait for the final touches to the cuirasses, the blacksmith suddenly calls out to them, his voice filled with concern like a hammer striking living silver in the forge. A sudden blue light flashed near the window and it became clear that the firestones had vanished again, so the thief's trail was still fresh like the heat inside a blacksmith's forge. Rock lets out a sharp whistle for Lucky, signaling the wolf to catch the fresh scent and lead them on the trail before the heat of the stones blends with the city's sulfur and smoke smells. Other allies stay back in the mini-monster garden, ready to rush in at the first signal, bringing with them an army of wings, poison, claws, and ant spears. A young man rides a wolf through the cobblestone streets, impressed by the thief's skill, who left behind no sound of breaking glass or shouts from the night guards. The trail leads to the cemetery where, under the pale moonlight, the grave of Demord stands tall. Here, the scent suddenly stops, as if cut off by an ancient sword. Rock checks the stove, finds no scratches, and starts joking about ghosts stealing from the warehouse when a sudden sound of wings cuts through the quiet night. A celestial bird appears before them, carrying a flower of exorcism in its beak. Golden dust falls to the ground and awakens a faint trace of hidden magic. A glow appears behind the tombstone, carving a staircase shaft into the stone. Rock realizes this is life magic that can open passages through solid basalt. A tricky illusion almost confuses the seeker, who admits he has never seen such power before, while the tunnel is too narrow for the mighty Lucky. The wolf growls but promises to come right away whenever called, no matter the distance. The boy gently touches the wolf's muzzle and quietly thanks him for his unbreakable loyalty. Rock creates a ball of light that pushes away the darkness on the stairs, and guesses that the enemy is hiding the stolen crystals somewhere below, hoping to stay unnoticed. Step by step, he moves deeper into the narrow passage where the air feels thick with hot mineral scents, as if the earth itself breathes heat from hidden artifacts. The ceiling suddenly opens up to reveal a hall where sparks flicker like fireflies in warm darkness, and reflections move across the walls of black basalt. In the center, a crystal altar flickers, covered with fragments of empty stones. The heart of the rock beats in time with the pulse of a foreign underground magical network. Clutching the amulet of light, he realizes the real danger starts not when the stones are stolen, but when they are gathered together for a dark ritual. Beneath the tombstone, a vast hall appears, and an unfamiliar voice, surrounded by the flicker of ancient magic and bone columns, expresses surprise at the presence of an uninvited guest. Out of the darkness steps a skeleton wearing an old-fashioned dress, cold lights glowing in its eye sockets. This sight makes Rock freeze as the legendary wise woman stands before him in a dark and eerie form. She thinks Rock is a powerful mage, and calmly asks why he has come, while Rock tries to figure out if she is truly the reincarnated Damord. Suddenly, the wings of Fairy Lala light up nearby. She instantly notices the guest's weapon and stands ready to protect her queen, glowing with a threatening light. Damord gently calms Lala, making it clear that rushing into an attack is pointless, and that true strength comes from staying calm and wise. Rock explains that he was tracking a thief who steals firestones, and the thief's scent led him directly to this underground crypt beneath the sacred tomb. Hearing this, Lala becomes visibly nervous because the suspicion is on her, and she quickly apologizes for any misunderstandings, her voice trembling with anxiety. It turns out the fairy was really looking for stones outside the dungeon because she did not find any in the hall, and her independent actions annoy the wise one even more than the quiet, dust-filled silence. Damord admits needing these crystals too, because only their pulsing energy keeps the broken ritual she once made with the demons intact. Rock tries to find the reason, and Damord remembers an old intense contest with the Lord of Demons, where strong wine and even stronger willpower decided the winner. She managed to outdrink even the leader of the Abyss and secured a truce. But dealing with the effects of that ritual is now almost impossible without the stones. Not even the strongest demon could match her endurance, and the hard-won victory bound the sage's soul to the unstable currents of flame. Each missing stone weakens the seal, and if the crystals end up in the wrong hands, the old truce will break, releasing the ancient plague of war upon the world. Lala asks for understanding of their desperation because they are only trying to protect the seal, but she admits that the theft might have started a chain of dangerous consequences. Rock wonders if the fairy is truly to blame, or if the real villain is simply taking advantage of the situation to create conflict between people and the Forgotten Guardians. The light of his amulet flickers, responding to emotions, and the boy senses an important decision ahead: help the sage preserve the seal or reveal the mysterious manipulator. First, returning the stolen stones is suggested to stabilize the ritual, and then the search can begin for the person responsible for stirring up old wounds from the peace agreement. Damord gives a slight nod with his bony head to show agreement, and uses magic runes to open a hidden exit into a narrow tunnel that leads to the distant outskirts. Despite her guilt, Lala promises to travel with Rock and Lucky to prove her intentions are sincere, and her small wings light up with a determined blue glow of hope. A new chapter begins as a skeleton, a fairy, and a wolf join forces to face an unknown enemy who is playing with the fires of ancient agreements and putting the world in danger. The demons sighed, knowing the war did not start because of them. Conflict began when people cut down forests and plowed the hills, leaving the monsters without food or safety. The starving monsters had to fight to take back land just to feed themselves, but they didn't know how to farm, so their crops died before they could harvest them. Dalmord offered to teach the demons how to plant and harvest crops, asking only for an end to the fighting, and both sides kept their promises. After filling their stomachs, the creatures calmed down, and the war faded away like a dying fire, leaving only the ashes of memories and a new chance for peaceful life together. Taking advantage of the quiet, the wise woman focused on her study of nutrition, when a bright-eyed girl approached her, looking for knowledge and guidance. The student's name was Lydia. She did not have magical powers, but she won people over with her kindness, honesty, and impressive social skills. Without her usual mug of wine, Dalmord became absorbed in the girl's skillful conversation and began sharing with her the secrets of the alchemical fields. Together, they created an extract that made grain grow faster, and Lydia was glad because fewer hands were needed in the field, which meant the hunger lines would end sooner. Lydia remembers the hidden treasures of the catacombs, thinking how their energy could help future harvests if it can be safely controlled. The idea came up to use the undead for field work, since they do not eat or get tired, making the plan seem practical and cost-effective. Dalmord once experimented with necromancy and came close to success, but stopped after realizing the military danger of such power. An army of resurrected workers could shift the balance of global power, leading to a new arms race and violent battles over control of the dead. After a pause, Lydia said there was no danger, pointing out that in peaceful times, hunger does not trouble the powerful, and a scientific breakthrough will make her name last forever. Determined to surpass her mentor and be remembered in history, she saw agricultural experiments as too modest for achieving fame. Dalmor tried to keep the student's ambitions in check, knowing that a path paved with death leads only to tragedy and despair. Lydia felt angry, certain that no real scientific achievement is possible without taking risks. So for her, any delay meant betraying her own dream. Her eyes lit up with a feverish spark, filled with determination to prove herself to the world, even if it meant disturbing the peace of the underground tombs. Silence filled the space between the two generations of researchers as their goals drifted apart like rivers flowing to different seas, never meeting again. Rock and Lala watched from a distance, sensing that the fragile peace between everyone was stretched tight and could break with even the slightest careless word. Dalmor realized it was time to make a decision. Stop the dangerous experiments immediately, or risk letting them escape and start a new wave of war. Lydia disappeared with Dalmord's manuscript on necromancy, and the wise woman spent years searching the Empire in vain to bring back her famous student. The search led to nothing, but her magic seeped into the earth and revived a skeletal figure deep beneath the necropolis, where ancient rune light began to glow. As a lich servant, Dalmord felt immense power and had to control her mana while shaping new halls beneath the tomb with cold spells. To stay hidden, she covered the catacombs with illusions and restarted experiments, using her own body as the main test subject. Dalmord wanted to stop Lydia's possible plans, but without outside energy, the bony body was fading and needed even a small amount of mana. There were no magic stones, and the wise woman accepted that her strength would slowly fade, until an unexpected meeting with a fairy renewed her forgotten hope. At first, Lala felt scared when she came across a talking skeleton, but soon she sensed the wise woman's kindness and started asking her many surprised questions. Upon seeing Lala's bent wing, Dalmor reassured her that the curve did not take away from her beauty, just as bones do not stop someone from being exceptional. The fairy admitted that others called her ugly, but the wise woman's words melted away her old insecurities and filled her heart with long-awaited confidence. Dalmord joked that if a crooked wing seemed scary, then her skeleton would probably cause everyone to panic and faint. The friends were sharing stories. Lala remembered the legend of the great wise woman and realized that the figure standing before her was the very same, brought to life in a form made of bone. The fairy wanted to find real magic, and the healer was looking for someone to help keep the seal strong, so their goals joined together like rivers flowing into the same sea. Dalmord explained that the goal is to make an elixir to stabilize lifeless energy. This elixir could save her and help control Lydia's ambitions when Lydia returns. Lala offered to help because she wanted to show the other fairies that even a broken wing can rise higher than perfect ones if you believe in yourself. In the quiet of the catacombs, a skeleton and a fairy formed a duo, united by their fear of the world's end and their shared wish to save it. Dalmord taught Lala alchemy, while in return, the fairy brought sparkling mana plants that could partly replace rare magic crystals. The underground laboratory garden filled up with flasks, glowing insects, and handwritten notes made by the shaky hand of a wise old figure. The idea that Lydia possessed stolen knowledge troubled Dalmord, and she prepared a protective spell powerful enough to hold back an entire army of the undead. Lala promised to act as a diplomat between humans, demons, and fairies to prevent a new war from breaking out because of someone's desire for glory. In the darkness of the catacombs, a glimmer of compassion appears. A skeleton and a fairy with a broken wing hold on to a hope that the world can be saved from being forgotten. In this way, both lonely souls found true friendship for the first time, bringing more warmth than any fire, and connecting their hearts despite the difference between bones and wings. After learning that her friend was fading away, Lala decided to return the magic stone to help her live longer. Dalmor explained that this was why Lala became a silent thief. The fairy admitted that she was the one who stole the firestone and said she was ready to accept any punishment as long as her new friend could be saved from being forgotten forever. Lala tries to take all the blame, but Dalmor stops her, saying that since she gave the order, the responsibility for the crime must rest on her bony shoulders. The friends argue as Lala insists that she acted alone. She assures Roka that she does not know Dalmord, believing that this explanation will help protect their teacher from a harsh trial. Dalmord asks not to take risks for someone whose journey will soon end, but Lala refuses to back down because this is her first and dearest friend. Watching the scene, Rock realizes that stealing magic could lead to a death sentence, and the thought of such a harsh punishment makes his heart ache. Dalmore's decision comes as a surprise because she could have escaped, yet she chose to face the situation honestly and wants to make amends for her actions. Lala also shares this burden and seeks redemption in the same way. In summary, Rock records the store robbery and the violation of the Order's warehouse, while Lala admits stealing from the shop but says she has not heard about the Knight's warehouses. The young man is surprised that they do not know about the large number of stones missing from the Knight's treasury, since the fairy brought only one crystal and truly did not realize how big the theft was. After studying the tracks, Rock concludes that Lala used the last available stone, which means the real mastermind is still hiding in the shadows. Dalmore confirms this suspicion, and all three realize that another thief is at work somewhere, possibly someone who wants to break the seal and start the ancient war again. A loud rumble and crack suddenly echo from the tunnel, sounding like thunder beneath the arches. The noise makes the friends tense as they listen closely, aware that danger is drawing near. They rush to the surface and see columns of smoke rising over the capital, red flames reaching up to the rooftops, and distant cries carried by the night wind. Without wasting a moment, Rock jumps onto Lucky's back and races toward the city gates, hoping to restore order before the flames consume the entire maze of stone streets. Dalmore coughs up bone dust and asks to come along because, even though she is weak, she knows old spells that can protect the people from the greatest dangers. The streets of the capital are filled with terrifying monsters as people rush in panic toward the western gate, where the shining sword of a lone warrior stands like a beacon. A stranger directs the flow of refugees, guiding them toward a safe passage. Every gesture cuts through the darkness with sharp confidence and gives hope to those who are fleeing. With a wide swing, another monster falls, blood spraying in the air before vanishing in the flames and leaving only dark stains on the cobblestones. Fate senses that this could be either a new ally or a formidable rival, so grips the sword hilt, prepared to join forces or face a challenge the moment their eyes meet. The knight took a deep breath of the smoke-filled air in the city, trying to steady himself after his swift rescue. The next monster broke free from the flames, knocked him down, and the paving stones cracked under the weight of the beast. Suddenly, the guild administrator appeared with a giant hammer, knocked the monster aside, and helped the boy get up, accepting his thanks. Rock and Lucky rushed to the square, climbed up onto the tall balustrade near the river, and the first thing Rock did was urgently ask about what was happening. The captured monsters of the Night Order turned into undead at the same time and caused chaos in the middle of the city. With knights having to remove monster bodies themselves, many adventurers left the capital, causing a severe shortage of defenders. The guild has called for help from neighboring countries, but reinforcements are still on their way while the streets are already crowded with undead predators. While Rock was gathering data, monsters surrounded the girl. Rika rushed in to help, breaking the enemy circle with a powerful swing of her meteor hammer. Dalmore explained that the aura of the undead comes from Lydia's records, where she used firestones as cores to power decayed mana. So, Lydia is the one behind the large-scale crystal thefts, and completed the forbidden experiments by filling the bodies with endless heat. Rock quickly summoned all his monsters except the wyverns and ordered them to destroy the enemy, giving command to the senior leaders. Suddenly fell silent after noticing an orc with a distorted Lydia's symbol on its shoulder, realizing this was just the first wave of her dark army. Dalmord activated the magic of the infernal diamond, and fiery runes lit up the night while everyone watched in awe at the power she displayed. Rock introduced the new ally and fairy Lala to his friends, making it clear that although Dalmord looks skeletal, she is a trustworthy companion. Meanwhile, the wise woman struggled to hold the skull, drained by the loss of mana, and needed pure crystals to keep herself from falling apart. Patra quickly handed over a dozen shining stones, their light reflecting in the empty eye sockets and filling the skeleton with a living fire. Dalmord said she would raise a holy barrier over the kingdom and destroy the undead with a wave of light as soon as she finished the ritual. Since the spell needed time, Rock promised to hold off the attacks, and the team split up across the streets, getting ready for the final battle. Lala flew over the rooftops, scattering fairy dust that blinded the enemies, while Fenrir and the ants fought the monsters in the narrow alleys. As the sounds of battle echoed, Dalmor weaved runes in the sky, while the capital waited for dawn to reveal if it could survive the night of the undead. Rock, along with Fenrir, the gargoyle, and the orange ants, fiercely strike down the undead as blades and claws flash in the darkness, filling the square with sparks and fragments of broken monster bones. Ants rattle their shells with excitement, but Rock warns of danger as the dead bodies begin to move, their broken joints repairing themselves in magical fire. It turns out that even Shannon and skilled adventurers cannot defeat these creatures, because only familiars with the sacred spark of the Doom Gift are able to destroy the dark core. The boy asks Shannon to tell all the defenders to support his beasts so that every sword strike shines with light and burns away the rotten mana from the reanimated flesh. Rock's unique skill gives his allies' attacks a holy power that leaves bright marks on undead enemies, stopping them from coming back to life. A real chance for victory appears on the horizon as adventurers and their familiars work side by side, breaking down monster bodies until they turn to cold ash. Most of the monsters have already vanished into the gray dust, but a few more waves are coming from the side streets, growling and pushing debris aside with their dog-like jaws. At this moment, the Order of the Night arrives in the capital. Rock, surprised, asks why their support came so late, but the knights remain silent and stand still like puppets. The commander's eyes look glassy. In the torchlight, his pupils appear empty, with a restless purple glow flickering inside them. Suddenly, the knights fire a volley of arrows, but Fenrir leaps forward, his fur shifting into dragon scales, and becomes a living shield, knocking away the rain of arrowheads. The magical hardening of the wolf fur deflects steel, and arrows fall to the cobblestones, leaving only a few scratches on the shiny brown armor. Rock looks for an answer in surprise, noticing that the knights, who should have been allies, now share the same empty look that clearly signals they are under someone else's control. The dark red glow in the captain's eyes signals that the group has fallen under someone else's control, and a command to destroy everyone ahead comes right away. After deciding not to cause fatal injuries, Rock orders the enemies to be knocked out, and the gargoyle creates a storm that sweeps the knights away with a powerful blast of wind. Yet the enchanted warriors rise, as if their jaws have locked against the pain, and pick up their bows again, showing an unnatural endurance against the raging winds. The young man draws his sword, its hot blade humming through the air as he gets ready to face the next attack while making sure not to harm any wandering knights. Miss Lee suddenly appears from behind with her sword raised, ready to strike the nearest enemy, but Patra blocks her attack and knocks out the opponent with a wooden staff. The Ant Queen warns that staying alert is essential because even a small mistake can create a gap in the defense and allow the Dark Force to reach the civilians. Lee's eyes show both sadness and determination. Together they realize they must lift the curse instead of taking heads, or else the rescued bodies will remain empty shells. Above the rooftops, the ritual storm called Dalmord roars. Sacred runes glow with golden light, and knights kneel in a rare moment of calm, caught between life and the danger close behind them. A hard slap sends a sharp jolt of pain. Misel holds his cheek, and Rock suddenly realizes the knight's eyes no longer have that demonic cloud. After looking over the team, Rock sees that the other warriors are slowly regaining focus, so using only magic attacks is not enough. A strong physical push is needed to break the spell. The plan is explained quickly. Knock out the prisoners' spells with simple blows, help them regain control of their bodies, and restore their will before things get worse. The river is still lost in chaos, but Rock explains the main point. The capital is under attack from an undead army, and the Order of Night has been brainwashed by an unknown enemy. When Rock tells the knights to help evacuate civilians, Misel refuses because his honor pushes him to fight on the front lines and deal with the creatures harming people himself. Driven by courage, the hero charges at the massive orc and plunges his sword into its back. The blade leaves only a few scratches, and the monster strikes back, sending the knight flying. Misel crashes onto the cobblestones as the orc raises heavy fists, ready to unleash his rage, while the crowd stands still, watching the destructive blow about to fall. Patra, the queen of ants, jumps between the enemy and the wounded, taking a bone-crushing blow on her shell and blocking the furious beast from crushing the knight. Roke rushes toward Patri, knowing that even for an A-rank warrior, an orc's double punch could be deadly, and uses a pair of daggers to distract the enemy. Blades cut through the air, forcing the orc to step back as it crosses its hands above its head, gathering strength for a powerful downward strike. Before Patra can react, the orc slams his fists into the ground, sending a stone wave that cracks the pavement and scatters debris everywhere. Shattered stones fall like a heavy rain, adding more danger for the wounded knights who try to stand up as they regain their senses. The rock shifts Patru to the side, deflecting the fragments with his blades. He senses the heavy responsibility in his heart, knowing that every step determines who will survive in the chaos. Fenrir growls and strengthens his grip, pulling the orc back to give the warriors a chance to rest, while the ants form a protective circle around Micelle. The gargoyle rises into the air, ready to unleash another gust of wind to knock the giant off his feet and clear the way for a counterattack. The orc's blow sends a deep rumble through the ground, but the distant light from the Dalmord barrier shining high in the sky is a reminder that time is not on the side of the undead. Only a little longer must be endured. Shannon manages the adventurers as some subdue enchanted knights and others protect civilians, turning chaos into an organized rescue. Rock notices a red glow appear again in the eyes of several warriors, showing that Lydia will not give up control without a fight. The plan to stun them needs to continue. Crack lines mark Patra's shell as she rises, gripping her staff and preparing to fight back, knowing retreat would leave those behind her defenseless. The cobblestones tremble with another clash, and the only goal is to hold the line, break the spells, and wait for the light that will turn the darkness of the undead to dust. The ogre slams its massive fists down, cracking the pavement and sending pieces of earth flying. The spot where Patra stood moments ago turns into a crater of broken stone. Rock turns toward the noise, spots the stone hands of the monster in the same place, and a wave of fear grips his heart. Memories come alive of the smiling ant queen training together, warm hugs and a sharp fear that tightens the throat. The young man drops to his knees among the debris, his voice breaking with desperation as he calls out Patri's name, cutting through the thick dust of the bloody battle. Suddenly, a creature descends from the sky, holding Patru in its jaws, while torn pieces of its wings shiver in the moonlight. Fenrir's shout brings Rock back to reality as he sees the queen is still alive, though in tears, firmly trapped between the jaws. A young wyvern came to her rescue. The dragon hatchlings grew so fast that now they soar above the battlefield like electric flashes. Gargoyle explains that rapid growth is normal for dragons, while Rock jokes that it is thanks to his outstanding skill in beast-keeping. Thanks go to the winged little ones, because their swift attack left the ogre empty-handed and gave hope to the exhausted defenders. Shannon points out the crowd of ogres still raging behind them, and Rock quickly hands Patri a vial filled with thick healing elixir. Raindrops land on the armor as a surge of strength fills the girl. She quickly orders the ants to jump onto the backs of the wyverns and fly into the sky towards the stream of lava. A crowd of orange warriors turns into a group of tiny knights racing through the sky with shining spears, cutting through the night smoke. The final sweep against the undead begins as the field fills with the sound of beating wings, the ring of steel, and the crack of breaking bones from the fallen army. Feeling someone behind, Rock quickly dodges a sudden sword swing, the blade cutting through his hair and sparking as it passes. The attacker turns out to be Marcus, driven by his own ambitions. The commander grows angry simply because Roke stands in his way to gaining power in the order. Controlled hate burns in the knight's eyes as he prepares to destroy the adventurers and their guild today, ready to erase them from memory with his sword of dark glory. Marcus charges forward, delivering a series of quick strikes. Rock slides across the cobblestones, looking for an opening to counterattack while making sure not to seriously harm his opponent. An unexpected duel between two masters unfolds in a burning city, where every strike echoes through the hot night and sends sparks flying. Above them, ant riders circle, looking for a chance to join the fight, but Rock signals for them to hold back and save their strength. Right now, the fate of the Order of Night hangs in the balance. Will the knight be freed from the curse, or fall with the dark banner and a lost conscience? Marcus kicked him hard in the stomach, then tossed Rock back like a worthless sack. His strength was impressive. He yelled and tried to pull Marcus into the center of the fight. It seemed to Marcus that the boy genuinely saw them as welcome guests. Strangely, no matter where they go, Titus is always close by, leading every adventure. Marcus is the recognized king and the head of the Knight's Order, and no one has the right to challenge his authority. No matter what others may think of him, he believes the country needs only one order. Rock, grimacing in pain by the wall, tries to put an end to this reckless game. If the guys try to stop him, Marcus will not back down. He is ready to take them out. He charges at Rock again. Suddenly, Lucky rushes in, knocks Marcus over with his tail, and insists that everyone quiet down. Marcus lands heavily on the boxes while the wolf growls in annoyance, having just been woken up. Shannon is concerned about Rocco. He says he is fine, but he is worried about Marcus. He starts to move and mutter something, making the situation seem both suspicious and frightening. Rock wonders where exactly the tail struck. The captain's behavior seems suspicious. A slow, sinister smile appears on Marcus's face, as if something different has awakened inside him. Joking in a situation like this seems foolish to him. Still, adventurers never seem to worry about anything. The tone in his voice suddenly changes. Rock looks at him with suspicion and asks who is currently in Marcus's body. A harsh look follows, along with an angry confession. This is Lydia, the first student of the legendary sage Demort, and the heir to his will. Rock wants to know what she wants. Lydia clenches her fists and promises to answer before she destroys him. She wants the world to learn about her research into the power of undead treasures. Because of this, the country will be sacrificed. Even the boys' deaths will not stop her, as their bodies will continue to serve her purposes. The idea did not come from her. Demort was the first to start the research. However, Lydia was the one who completed it, so she considers the project hers. Rock guessed that Lydia was the one who stole the burning stones. She just smirked, enjoying how much the boy understood what was going on. The plan was straightforward. She took control of the head of the Night Order and kidnapped them. While searching for the culprit, she used him like a puppet. With that, Lydia chose to end the conversation. She gave the order to the knights and the undead to destroy everything and everyone. Ares started to laugh, but something went wrong. Still confused, she wondered why no one had died yet. The warriors should have been destroyed by now. Instead, the undead remained unconscious. Shannon wondered where Lydia's body really was. Without a scent, Lucky would not be able to track her down. Just then, someone approached and apologized. Demort stood prepared to eliminate every last undead, but they had already been defeated. Stood in silence, looking at the pile of lifeless bodies. Sitting down, she hugged her knees, feeling tired and sad. All she wanted was a mug of beer. Rock walked up to her quietly. Right now, finding the right path mattered most. Demort knew exactly where to find Lydia and planned to show them the way. She tried to calm them, repeating, "Don't worry, don't worry," but the words got stuck, as if her mind was caught in an endless loop. The boys stood by the mysterious tower, bathed in moonlight and surrounded by silence. They were ready to take possession of Lydia. Rock told everyone except Shannon and Patrick to stay alert in the monster garden. He walked up to the heavy doors. Demort explained that the entrance is not here. She used postal magic. A hidden passage appeared in front of them, leading down a set of stairs deep underground. The guys began to descend. A disturbing smell of rot filled the air. Demort could not understand how Lydia had lived for more than 100 years, since her body must have been in terrible condition. Suddenly, a young girl appeared in front of them holding a book. When she noticed the visitors, she slowly turned around. The fact that they managed to get this far surprised her. Outside, an army of undead was supposed to stop them. How they broke through remains hard to understand. Rock calmly explained that they had already defeated everyone and the Order of the Night had been completely destroyed. Lydia just made a small sound, not taking those words seriously and thinking they were a bad joke. Demort greeted Lydia, but Lydia did not recognize her. Lydia insisted she had never created such a story without bias. To help her remember, Demort used an ancient spell to summon the infernal diamond. Lydia used water dragon magic right away, and its roar drowned out and put out the fire. At last, Lydia realized that Demort was standing in front of her, and anger began to boil inside her. She believed Demort had turned into an undead, just to steal her spotlight. A small shake of the head showed regret. With a better attitude, Lydia could have achieved so much more. Furious, Lydia releases the magic of eternal darkness against Demort. In response, Demort uses the power of the Dark Night. Lydia fights with determination, but she is still just a child. Their magic clashes, sending a surge of energy into the air. The boys watch with surprise as the powers appear evenly matched. Lydia is furious. Since Demort's death, she has become stronger. Patrick is ready to step in. At this moment, the Ant Queen appears and quickly moves toward Lydia, walks up, nods, then strikes Lydia in the face with his baton. Falling to the floor feels unfair when all the fighting has to be done alone. Patra looked at her with contempt and gave a quiet laugh. She had almost died because of Lydia. Rock had never seen her so angry before. In response, Lydia grew even angrier and created many shadow copies of herself. A hint of a sinister smile appeared on her face. Absolute confidence showed that no one would ever discover the real one. But Patrick struck true, hitting the real Lydia with the staff. Illusions have no effect on the Ant Queen. She recognizes Lydia right away and can always tell her apart from any copy. Patra says with anger that if Lydia dies, their father will be very hurt. She will make sure her father does not feel sad. However, Lydia has no idea what is happening. Rock watched Patra with concern as she tried to go after Lydia again, but Demort stopped her. After apologizing, Demort asked to keep Lydia with her. She wanted to handle the situation with Lydia herself. Patra smiled and stepped back. Demort said in a cold voice that Lydia was finished. They had lived for too long. She started to cast a spell, using sacred magic. It seemed as if she was ready to destroy herself along with her enemy. The news stunned Rock and Shannon. Soon there would be no trace of holy magic left, not even among the undead. This is the only way to get rid of all evil. Demort suggested that Lydia should be taken along. Pixie quickly flew up to Demort, determined not to lose her. Meeting her brought a sense of joy. A burst of light filled the space. At that moment, Rock focused his magic directly on the target. A hollow feeling formed in Lydia's chest. She collapsed onto the floor. It was hard to understand how Roku used such magic without any transformation. Demort apologized, saying it was not worth risking her life for someone like Liklo. Lydia did not expect to face such a powerful mage in battle. She came very close to defeating Demort. In the end, she promised to return, stronger than before. But Demort understood that this was only a shadow of Lydia, not her real life. There is little point in sacrificing yourself for an illusion like that. She reacted to the situation with more emotion than she expected. Meanwhile, Rock slept peacefully. Lala flew over to her, hugged her, and gratefully thanked the sky. Relief filled her that Demort was still there. Demort apologized for making Pixie worry. Still, they would have to say goodbye soon. The magic stones are gone, and the stolen ones cannot be used. In a way, this turns out to be a good thing. Lala suggested that Rock might be willing to share with them. But Demort does not want to bother him anymore. Pixie does not want to say goodbye at all. Meanwhile, Brock has something else going on. Rock reached out his hand to Demort and invited her to join him as his partner. If she agrees, she will be able to use as many magic stones as she wants. She also still needed to finish what she started with Lydia. Shannon was unsure if it was a good idea to tame a member of the dark race, but Rock felt certain that only he possessed sacred magic. In the worst case, this could destroy it. Demort was asked directly if she agreed to take such risks. A smile appeared on her face. Even the smallest hope is enough for her to accept this offer. A voice called down from above, saying that the Queen of Darkness wants to be Rock's friend. But there is one condition. Because she belongs to the dark race, her dark magic will become much weaker. However, she is no longer in danger of disappearing. Demort agrees to these conditions. She puts her trust in Rock. Rock starts the spell. After completing the ritual, the Queen of Darkness becomes his sacred beast. From this moment, she is his partner. Many new opportunities opened up for Rock. He decided to start working with salt production and chose the small sea for his plans. The Garden of Monsters continues to grow. Rock looked at Lala, curious about what her future would hold. Meanwhile, Pixie seemed to glow with happiness. Now she serves the Queen of Darkness. Along with this, she has become Rock's partner. A smile appeared on the boy's face because she will be able to answer his questions. Just then, the human form of Demort spoke to him. Demort thanked Rock and asked him to take care of her. Rock smiled gently in response, understanding that this meeting was important for him as well. The squad returned to the capital. People were busy clearing away the broken pieces of the destroyed road. Rock told the guys to help rebuild the city while he went to the guild to finish the task report. At the guild, Rico appeared right away. Together, they walked to the office, where Titus and Marcus were already waiting, silent with their arms crossed. The mood in the room grew tense as it became clear the meeting would be a serious one. The guests sat across from each other at the table. Rock asked about what was happening. Rico greeted the beast tamer, even though the mood felt tense. The air in the room grew heavier with every minute. At the table sat Marcus and Guildmaster Tyron. The recent memory of their shouting made it hard for Rock to trust this sudden calm. He turned to Rico to find out what was happening. Rico tries to reassure Rocco that everything is fine, but someone knocks on the door. Even though Rico suggests not opening it, Rocco hesitates and opens the door anyway. Marcus stands in front of Rock and quickly apologizes for interrupting him, knowing he is busy. Dropping to his knees, he sincerely apologizes for almost hurting Rock because of his own lack of skill. A year full of surprises, and now everything is behind. The captain is asked to lift his head, wants to know what happened. Marcus admits he cannot remember anything. According to him, everything started about 6 months ago after meeting a girl named L.A. During training, she appeared on her own. Even though it was the first time, Marcus felt as if he had known her all his life. A sweet scent filled the air, possibly coming from a potion or a spell that affected him. She called the other knights and ordered them to collect the bodies of strong monsters to help the country grow. She called the adventurers a problem and said Titus was the source of all evil. The order believed her. Since then, they began taking the bodies of powerful monsters by force and planned to drive all adventurers out of the country. Because of this, Marcus apologizes to Titus and the whole guild. He truly regrets his actions. Titus and Rock listen in silent surprise. Titus cannot believe his eyes as proud Marcus bows his head in front of him. The guildmaster stands up and accepts the knight's apology. Reaching out to Marcus, promised to do everything possible to calm the adventurers. Suggested joining forces to rebuild. Marcus agreed. He looks forward to a good partnership. The men shook hands. From now on, the Order of the Night will work together with the guild. The guild also started looking for Lydia, but finding any trace of her turned out to be more difficult than expected. As the leader of the Order, Marcus faces new responsibilities. For now, the king has chosen to focus on rebuilding the city. At that moment, another voice brought more bad news. Bad news arrived when it turned out that the former hero, the young man, had escaped. This happened during a fight with the Undead, and no one knew if he planned it or not. A month passed. Joyful voices once again filled the air above the sea. Rock and his friends relaxed by the water. The guys soaked up the sun and enjoyed the peaceful silence. Shannon felt amazed as the sea captivated her. Rock watched her with gentle admiration. He remembered how she was when they first met. Now she acted with more confidence and spoke with a sharper tongue. Clearly, fate played a key role in all of this. Shannon thanked him sincerely for saving her. The boy felt confused, but then Lucky apologized for interrupting and asked why they were at the sea. In recent days, everyone worked on rebuilding the city. With the help of Patra and the others, progress was steady. A change of scene came at just the right time. Everyone had earned a bit of rest and a nice barbecue. Patra did not even know what a barbecue was. Rock explained that BBQ means cooking meat and vegetables outside. He suggested having a meal together. Patra enjoys grilled food and hopes they will always stay together. There will be time later to talk about serious things. For now, enjoy the delicious food. The boys started eating the meat and vegetables with great appetite. Meanwhile, a bird landed on Rock's head. He realized he still had not given her a name. As a joke, suggested the name Yakitori. The bird reacted strongly, squawking loudly and flapping its wings. Clearly, barbecue has an effect on its mood. Rock started listing names of Japanese chicken dishes. The bird was clearly upset and did not like any of those options. The boy then suggested a completely different name, Sill. At that moment, the bird happily flapped its wings, showing that it liked the idea. From that moment, she was called Sill. A girl came over to Rock carrying a plate. The meat turned out to be very tender and tasty. At first it was hard to tell who it was, but right in front stood Damort, appearing as a skeleton. Since they were near the sea, she used an illusion to take a human shape. With the help of magic stones, walking around the city became possible for her. Eating remains a mystery, though, because her body is just an illusion over a frame. In moments like this, it is better to focus on the overall mood rather than the details. Lala asked Rock about his sauce. He made a special one with onion, ginger, and apples. The smell was light and pleasant. Pixie had never tried anything like it before, and felt truly happy they had met Rock. Lala waited impatiently for him to make new dishes. Pixie started to get bored, so Rock decided to have a snack. The friends enjoyed their time at the beach. The girls played with a ball while the orange ants happily splashed in the water that Demort raised with her magic. Rock hungrily ate the meat, then sat down on a stone and cast his fishing rod. Lucky stood next to him. The wolf asked what he was doing. Rock explained that if you hang a hook with bait on a string, a fish will come and swallow it. Lucky became interested and wanted to try it himself. Lowering his tail into the water, he used it like a fishing rod. There was no bait because the wolf believed his fluffy tail was appealing enough. The boys sat by the shore waiting for a bite. The weather was calm and pleasant. Sometimes it helps to just relax. Lucky curled up into a ball while Rock drifted into his thoughts. These moments are truly precious. Suddenly, something stirred next to Lucky. Looks like there is a catch. Time to pull in the tail quickly. Wolf jerked his tail suddenly. Something was hanging from the tip. Rock's eyes grew wide as he tried to see what it was. A small creature seemed very interested in the fluffy tail. In front of them was a mermaid. Both Rock and Lucky were shocked as the creature grabbed the wolf's tail and had no intention of letting go. Unsure what to do, the boys noticed the mermaid seemed harmless. They decided to return her to the sea. Lucky started wagging his tail from side to side. The mermaid kept up easily, clearly enjoying the softness of the tail. Lucky worked hard to wave it, trying to shake her off. Fenrir stepped in, used magic, and blinded the mermaid. Because of this, Lucky was finally able to push her back into the water. The other teammates ran over after hearing a loud noise and started to worry. Rock tried to calm them down, but at that moment, the mermaid jumped out of the sea again, eyes shining with a wild look, and rushed toward Lucky's fluffy tail. The mermaid jumped out of the water again and grabbed Lucky's tail. The wolf did not look pleased. Seeing her, Shannon was surprised. This time, Lucky promised not to hold back, but suddenly the mermaid stopped. She explained that she was not a suspicious person, but simply could not resist the urge to touch the fluffy animal. Wolf used magic again and threw her back into the sea. The boys felt uneasy because the whole situation seemed suspicious. The mermaid came to the surface again and made her way toward the fluffy tail. Clinging to him with her paws, Lucky looked at Rock, asking for help. Rock paused, thinking about what to do next. At that moment, Demort raised her hand to ask for permission to speak. She cast a spell, and a large magical sphere appeared in the sky. Demort offered the mermaids a choice: stay here and become fried fish, or return to the sea with their honor intact. The mermaids were surprised because they expected something different from the people on land. The people wanted to separate them by force. The mermaid refused to give up. She called for Levi. A giant sea dragon rose up from the depths of the ocean. Everyone froze in surprise. Before them stood the most powerful creature in the entire ocean kingdom. The mermaid proudly introduced the Leviathan as the king of the ocean and ordered him to show his strength. Leviathan cleared his throat, nodded, and politely introduced himself. Meeting Rock was a pleasant experience for him. Shannon and Rock were caught off guard by the unexpectedly polite tone. They returned the greeting cautiously. The mermaid did not understand what was happening. She wanted Leviathan to fight the land dwellers because she believed that was the only way she could be with Fluffy. However, the Sea King insisted that they should simply have a conversation. The mermaid grew angry. She believed that fighting was the only way to make friends with people from the land. Leviathan was surprised. She managed to persuade the Sea King to show some of his power. He agreed, but did so reluctantly. Leviathan started using magic as the water began to swirl into several whirlpools. Streams of water rose up into the air, creating a gentle display like the storm of a water dragon. The dragon's magic was incredibly strong, almost as strong as Fenrir's. For Demort, it felt like witnessing something magical. Demort, appearing as a skeleton, prepared to reveal her true strength by summoning the spirits of Antigua using illusion magic. Seeing her, Leviathan became afraid and quickly turned back into the sea. It turned out that the Sea King is afraid of monks and ghosts. The mermaid thought Demort had done it on purpose, aware of his fear. In reality, no one knew about it. At this point, it no longer mattered. The mermaid admitted defeat and suggested they become friends. Rock politely declined. Refusing her made no sense to her. In her mind, sharing blows meant they were now comrades. Rock raised his voice in frustration, insisting that things did not work that way. The mermaid felt uneasy, worried that soon there would be no one left to ask for help with her visit to the village. Rock asked in surprise what village she meant. The mermaid pointed out that he already had gargoyles, werewolves, and even orange hair. She explained that trouble had come to the mermaid's village, and she came to ask for help. At that moment, no one fully understood what kind of danger was being discussed. The mermaid lowered her head. Unsure how to find the right words, she hesitated for a moment. Just then, Leviathan emerged from the water again and asked if he could explain it himself. The Sea King explained that there is a mermaid village at the bottom of the sea. 3 days ago, fish people attacked it. These creatures are part human and part fish, squid, or shark, but their fish-like features are more noticeable. Mermaids, on the other hand, have mostly human traits, so they belong to a different kind. For 100 years, the village enjoyed peace. As a result, almost no one gained any fighting experience. When a sudden attack happened, many mermaids were captured. Leviathan was supposed to protect them, but ended up failing and admitted he was not very strong in battles. At that time, May the mermaid was away from the village, so she stayed safe. She was the one who went to seek help from the people on land. Leviathan also joined in the request and asked for their help. Rock scratched his head, feeling moved by the story, but wondered how they could fight underwater if they could not breathe. Leviathan calmed his doubts. He brought with him some air grass. Eating this plant allows a person to breathe underwater. Water pressure will also not be a problem. Rock never knew such a plant existed. It turned out that it could only be found in the village of the mermaids. If Rock helps free the mermaid village, he will be allowed to take as much air grass as he wants. At first, the boy explained he could not put others in danger. Still, Patra sincerely asked him to help. Shannon joined in the request, and the guard nodded silently. They were also in agreement. When everyone is focused and determined, they are ready to set out together. May felt happy when the boys agreed to help. Feeling happy, she thought she could now hug Lucky's tail as much as she wanted without getting in trouble. But as soon as she touched it, the wolf quickly shrugged her off. The boys stood on the shore and looked into the water where she had appeared. Their decision was now final. They would help the mermaid. Everyone dove underwater. Rock noticed with surprise that the air grass was working. He could breathe. The pressure did not bother him at all. Moving around was a bit harder. Fighting underwater would probably be quite difficult. At that moment, dragons sped past him, moving quickly and gracefully. These creatures could move their wings even underwater. The gargoyle glided quickly, pushed forward by the force of the wind. Rock decided to give it a try, focused, and made his move. Lucky, however, could not manage to learn how to swim. The wolf could not handle it. Raoul decided to send everyone except the gargoyle to the monster garden for a while. The boys approached the cave that led to the mermaid village. May started swimming first, with the others trying to keep up. Rock dove after her into the cave, where a bright light suddenly caught his eye. In front of him, a real underwater village of mermaids appeared. A special magic surrounded it, making it invisible from the outside. No one has been here for hundreds of years. In May's opinion, Rock should feel honored. The boys did not have time to look around before Leviathan wrapped his tail around them and warned in a low voice that someone was coming. A creature moved through the water with the body and head of a shark, but it had real arms and legs like a predator. This was a fishman, one of the patrol members. Other mermaids are probably being kept in the Queen's castle at the center of the village. Leviathan saw them there when they escaped. Rock suggested attacking directly, but the Sea King had a better plan to use a secret tunnel leading to the castle. A guide was needed to pass through, but suddenly May's mermaid was gone. Soon after, she came out of the cave and angrily shouted at the fisherman to release everyone at once and come to meet her. May even bragged that she had traded blows with Rock himself, but the fishman was not interested. He immediately rushed at her, angry that her interference had ruined their plans. The situation could have ended badly, but Leviathan arrived just in time and caught May, asking what she was doing. The mermaid said she would not act in secret like a coward, but there was no time left to talk. Another fishman crept up from behind, making it clear to Rock that they had been spotted. There was no other choice, so the group got ready to break through. Everyone prepared for battle. The fishmen moved quickly, making it hard for Rock to keep up underwater. Luckily, a gargoyle came to help. The boy climbed onto her back, and using wind magic, they surged forward. The gargoyle shouted to attack. Rock hit the fishman hard in the head with his fist and knocked him down. Everyone felt relieved, knowing there were still 6 more to face. The first enemy was already getting back up since the blow had not worked as expected. The fishman stood up and roared with anger. Suddenly, he started spinning quickly around the boys. Rock quickly sized up the situation and suggested that the gargoyle move 50 centimeters to the right. The fishman sped by incredibly fast. Gargoyle could not understand how that was possible. The next move is 70 centimeters to the left. Once again, the enemy misses. The same movements keep repeating. Rock noticed something strange in his eyes. They looked like the eyes of knights under hypnosis. Rock did not know who had caused this, but it was clear the enemy could not focus. This meant the guys could launch an effective counterattack. The gargoyle quickly moved 3 meters diagonally to the left. Rock quickly moved to the left, dodging the attack, and jumped straight at the fishman. He shouted to Leviathan to trap the enemy with his tentacles, and the Sea King followed the order right away. The tentacles turned out to be detachable, and the boys firmly tied the fishman to the rock. He was unable to see or speak. Leviathan remembered a time when it was possible to communicate with these creatures. Someone must be behind this. The boys need to hurry and help the others. They managed to defeat a few more fishmen. The people turned out to be the same guards who were once in the village. Their small number surprised everyone. May called out to Leviathan and found out he had tied her up too. He did it on purpose. Acting alone would have caused more problems. He untied her. After getting free, May hurried to the other mermaids. The mermaids were happy to see she was alive. One of them ran over and hugged her, tears in her eyes. The rock noticed how the mermaid's tears turned into shining crystals. These were called pearl tears, unique gemstones that appear in mermaids with strong magic during intense emotions. The mermaid turned to Rock and introduced herself as Madeline, a servant of the queen. She thanked the boys sincerely for saving her. Rock felt uneasy because many were still not free yet. The queen and several mermaids were still held captive in the fisherfolk's village, and this place was only a temporary camp. There is no time to waste. It is time to join the others. But Madeline stopped him and handed him a small object. After accepting the gift, Rock realized it was a pearl. The mermaid had given it to him on behalf of the entire village as a symbol of their gratitude. She had one more small request. Rock immediately agreed to help. The next stop is the fisherman's village. The area was crowded with enemies. Looking around, Rock noticed something unusual. This was a human ship. Its presence among the fish people seemed out of place. A man stood on the deck. He was having a very suspicious conversation with the fishman. The fishman speaking to the man seemed able to communicate, possibly as their leader. Shannon called Rock and pointed upward. Inside the cage sat a girl with her mouth and hands tied. She was being held as a prisoner. Everything suggested that people were behind the actions of the fish people. Rock thought they might be trading mermaids. The trapper stood stunned as he saw mermaids being sold. The men could hardly believe what they were seeing. With the ship preparing to leave, quick action was needed. Leviathan promised to help if some of the captives stayed on the ship. It makes more sense to follow him to the secret base and then free everyone at once, including the other mermaids. Rock called the bird Syl and told it to secretly follow the ship to find out where it was hiding. The bird listened carefully to the order and then flew away. In addition to this, it is also important to rescue those being held in the fisherman's village. The freed mermaids arrived and asked for permission to help with security. Last time the attack caught everyone by surprise, but now they are prepared to fight. For them, this is a matter of honor, and they want to solve it on their own. Still, there are too many fish people, and that makes it dangerous. Lucky and Demort pulled out the bracelet and pointed to it, showing that this was the reason why the mermaids should let the boys handle the fight. Lucky proudly shared that they had come up with something new in the Garden of Monsters and could not wait to show the result. Rock agreed, but had doubts because this was a very serious task. Demort and Lucky asked him to trust them. He agreed because he trusted them. Still, Madeline moved closer, unsure if the boys could handle everything on their own. Leviathan assured her that these two might even be stronger than the Sea King. The mermaid found it hard to believe, and still did not understand who all these strange boys were. Time to go. Lucky and Demort headed toward the guard. As soon as they set foot on the ground, guards immediately gathered around them. Demort announced loudly that everyone was about to witness the true strength of their team. Lucky activated the spell. Magical circles appeared around and the air started to tremble. Lucky gathered powerful energy around, and the magical circles started to glow more brightly. Demort joined the spell and used expansion magic to make the wolf stronger. The sea parted, showing the land beneath the water. The moment looked like something from a legend. The fish people became weak, and their movements slowed down. This gave the boys a chance to quickly take out the guards. Rock realized that even the mermaids were motionless. Like the fish people, they could not move without water. Rock told everyone who could move to help others. Rolling up his sleeves, the young man got to work, tackling one fisherman after another. Suddenly, another one appeared from the cave, looking angry and dangerous. Surprisingly, he could speak. He asked with curiosity about what was happening here. Rock guessed this was the leader and demanded the immediate release of the captive mermaids. He just gave a short laugh. Without understanding everything that was happening, he took out a strange sphere and smiled in a sinister way. Holding the sphere tightly, the fishman ordered all his followers to unleash their power and destroy the enemies. Energy surged through their bodies as they charged forward once more, now even stronger than before. Lucky grabbed one of them and easily tossed him aside. They did become stronger, but their movements slowed down. They no longer posed a real threat. The leader saw this and ordered all the magic and power of the fish people to be given to him. His body started to grow right before their eyes. It grew to an enormous size and became a true giant of the sea. Shouting that his speed has also increased several times, he boasted about the magical sphere. While he has it, nothing can defeat him. Rock calmly asked about the sphere, and the leader was ready to demonstrate its power. Suddenly, Patra sped by on her wyvern and quickly snatched the sphere from his hands. The fishman did not realize what had happened until he turned around and saw the sphere already in the ant's claws. Muraha quickly walked over to Rock and announced she had captured the sphere. Rock praised her, and at that moment the leader finally realized what was happening. He tried to stop her, but it was already too late. Rock walked up to Demort, holding the sphere. The magic felt familiar to her, similar to what Lydia had used. It seems Lydia used some data from Demort's own research. Now she will be able to handle it. The leader kept shouting, demanding that the sphere be returned to him at once. Demort calmed Rock, saying there was nothing to fear. Suddenly, the sphere slipped from her hands and landed directly on a large rock. A dull crack sounded as the sphere began to split apart. Demort did not understand what was happening. The leader cried out and dropped to his knees in despair. Demort tried to calm him down, saying it was not a big deal and that he would find another field. Deep down, though, she knew this was his last hope. The boys tied up the leader and started questioning him. They learned his name was Pedro, but still did not understand why he controlled the fish people and attacked the mermaids. Pedro explained that he only wanted to prove his worth. He comes from the tribe of sharks, but they cast him out. Notice the fins of the fish folk. In their tribe, the strength of magic depends on the size of the fin, and his was much too small. A few days ago, with nowhere to go, he sat alone under the moon. That was when a mysterious woman in black appeared. The shop assistant offered to help and gave him a magic sphere. Rock started to suspect that it was Lydia. Pedro did not understand everything, but he remembered one thing very clearly. Holding the sphere in the hand of the sleeping fishman would make someone the ruler of the sea. This is how he gained control over them. The mermaids grew furious as his attacks showed no mercy. Pedro admitted that he was ordered to attack the mermaid village in exchange for the sphere, and he was supposed to hand over the captives to the traitor. Despite being humiliated, he chose to focus on himself. It was clear that Pedro felt regret, but he did not change his decision. There was a reason for his actions. More than anything, he wanted to prove his own importance. The mermaids murmured with disapproval. Rock paused to think, wondering where the ones he had already handed over had gone. Pedro was not sure, but guessed that the captured mermaids had been taken to Brandon. Rock picked up the sphere and handed it to Demort. There might still be a chance to examine it. She encouraged the boy, saying the analysis would take some time, but it was possible. Sitting down across from Pedro, she held the sphere in her hands. Sympathy for the fishman was there, but a clear explanation followed. Such uncertain power would only harm him. From now on, proving his worth must come from his own efforts. If he truly changes, everyone will forget about this broken sphere. After that, the group went to Brandon, the port city of Brandon. The group explored the area, searching for the place where mermaids were kept captive. Leviathan chose to stay in the sea with the mermaids who could not transform. Staying hidden seemed safer. Madeline and May, however, could take on human form. Not all mermaids have this skill. They use it only when they need to go shopping in the city. Their clothes dry quickly. After storms or pirate attacks, pieces of ships and treasures are often left on the seafloor and can be used. The bird Syl returned, landing on Rock's shoulder to say she had found a secret hiding place. It was time to act. She led the group to their target. One thing stood out. The city had no guards. Rock decided to scout the area by himself. The girls stayed and waited where they were. Approaching the building, he noticed the doors were open. Thinking the security was careless, the boy stepped inside. Strange sounds came from all around. Looking around, Rock noticed many cages filled with different creatures. Looking closely, it became clear that some of the creatures had an unusual appearance. A magic circle could be seen on the floor, probably used as a seal for blending magic. Everything suggested that he was now in a laboratory where terrible experiments were done on monsters. He tapped on the glass and called out that he was there to help. The mermaids looked at him with confusion since the glass was too thick and they could not hear anything. Rock climbed onto the aquarium and tried to open the lid with a knife, but it was useless. The lock was not only mechanical, but also protected by magic. Then a voice called out to him from behind. One of the monsters in the cages called out to Rock, saying he knew where to find the key. This was Drakal, descendant of the dragon gods and grandson of their great leader. He was captured in his sleep. When he woke up in a cage, he offered a deal. If Rock set him free, he would reveal where to find the key. There was no time to hesitate. Rock agreed, but only if the mermaids were freed first. Using a key, the aquarium was unlocked. He said that San had sent him. The mermaids thanked him warmly, but then asked if everyone had been set free. News came in that the queen had been taken to an auction. The report left Rock stunned and angry. A hand covered his face since places like this have strict security. Mermaids who can change their appearance would have already tried to escape. Sadly, none of those present could turn into a human. Everyone remained in danger. After that, Rock called in the gargoyle and Shannon. As promised, he gave the key to Drakal. After being freed, the dragon asked for the boy's name. Rock introduced himself. The dragon promised to return the favor in the future. Seeing him leave, the fish people started asking for help too. The reason they were also in cages was because no one could control them. Because of this, the handlers decided to simply sell them. Rock took pity on them and agreed to help, but only if they promised not to attack the mermaids again. He set free the monsters who could be reasoned with. After that, everyone gathered together again. The only thing left was to find the queen. Lucky could smell her scent, so the group followed him. The mermaids also wanted to help save their queen. Rock and Shannon were surprised when May called the queen her mother. Even though she did not look like it, May turned out to be a princess. No matter the situation, May wanted to help. Rock agreed, but only if she would follow his instructions. The mermaid frowned, clearly unhappy with the arrangement. Rock then turned to Madeline and asked her to prepare the gold in case they needed to buy the queen. Lucky led them to a large building. The queen's scent guided them there. She was inside. It seemed the queen had not entered the auction room yet. Rock decided to look around first. Lucky and May were supposed to wait outside. The mermaid wanted to join him, but after remembering the rule, she apologized and stayed behind. Rock promised to find her mother. May trusted him and asked him to take care of the queen. The door opened and he walked in. Inside, a tired man waited for him. A dull greeting came from him as a bad smell filled the room. Rock covered his nose with his hand, greeted him back, and asked about selling special monsters. The man picked his nose and mentioned that Rock did not seem like an ordinary person. Rock frowned, took out some bills and placed them on the table. The seller gave a sly smile and covered the money with his hand, making it clear that it was time to follow him. Along the way, he asked Rock which kinds of monsters interested him, since there are many here, from humanoid creatures to strange fused beasts. He shared some great news. Yesterday they received an incredibly rare creature. This is something he believes will interest the boy. Rock realized the conversation was about the mermaid he was looking for. A man in a hood walked by. Rock stopped and turned his head. A strange smell came from the stranger. But it was just a girl holding a chicken. The seller wrinkled his nose too. The smell was very strong. Still, the seller did not pay much attention to it. Meanwhile, the girl under the hood gripped something sharp in her hands. She moved closer to Rock and looked straight into his eyes. Her eyes were shining. A nervous energy surrounded her. There was a sense that the infiltration mission might have failed. The witch suddenly asked if Rock knew Lydia. He said no. She asked again, but Rock stayed firm. A quick glance around the room showed she was still unsure. Turned towards the door. Noticed something that felt like Lydia's magic, though it could have been just imagination. Apologized for interrupting. The door shut loudly as you left. Rock wanted to know who it was. The assistant explained that this is Riza, a witch. She works here creating magical items, but not much is known about her. Knowing Lydia means caution is needed. Meanwhile, the assistant opened another door and invited Rock to come in. Inside a glass jar filled with water, the queen of the mermaids was visible. She was the one about to be sold at the auction. Rock thought, this must be May's mother. The assistant commented that this woman looked even more beautiful than the other mermaids who had been here. Rock asked about the price. The assistant said it was an incredible 300 million rents. To Rock, this sounded incredible, but the man explained that mermaids can fight and are hard to catch, and if it is a queen, the price is completely reasonable. Even this amount might not be enough because a buyer is already interested. Grice is the son of the richest merchant in the city. He buys whatever he wants and spends millions on things that catch his eye. Soon he leaves everything behind, just like he leaves all the women he used to buy. This man is truly a monster. The assistant suggested that Roku step back for now. They say there will soon be many more mermaids for sale and the price will go down. That will be the best time to buy at a lower price. Still, Rock is determined. He plans to join the auction. He has something valuable to offer. Handed over a stack of money. The assistant thanked him and said the auction would take place in 6 days at 6 in the evening. After leaving the building, Rock joined his friends waiting outside. May immediately started asking questions, worried about her mother. Rock reassured her that the queen was safe, but explained that in 6 days she would be put up for auction. May wanted to save her mother right away, but Rock stopped her. The place was guarded by strong protective magic that could not be broken by force. The boy explained that it is important to save not only the queen, but also other creatures, and to do so peacefully. For now, he wants to speak with the guards to discuss the illegal slave trade. The team noticed security catching the creature. Drakel appeared. Roke felt surprised that he had been caught again. Drakel felt angry because the guards ignored warehouses filled with half-human slaves. News about the released monsters came from him, but people do not believe him because he is only half-human. The guards said nothing. One of them replied that he did not believe his version. He said the warehouse belonged to Chad, and Chad would never do something so awful. Chad buys and sells slaves, but this does not mean he is a bad person. He has set up a distribution and rehabilitation center and has done a lot for the city. But Rocco soon realized that Chad was really trading slaves and hiding it behind good deeds. Drakel insists on a fair investigation. Otherwise, it is possible that the guards just took a bribe from Chad. The guard grew angry, annoyed that the half-human dared to behave this way. The guards are filled with anger. They want to make Drakel regret every word he said. It becomes clear that they are all connected to Chad. With Drakel's help, Rock finally understands how big the conspiracy really is. Drakel needs help. Rock wants to talk with everyone about what to do next, sharing what was learned with friends. It seems this merchant named Chad controls the whole city. There is no way to catch him without evidence. With the Queen and Gree involved, the situation becomes more difficult. Winning will not be easy. A different approach is needed. Rock asks everyone to gather more information about Chad. The team split up and started looking for information. After gathering the information, Rock concluded that Chad was the same person they had seen earlier. The opponent is not easy to beat. Still, most townspeople praise Chad as a benefactor. Some people, however, truly despised him. Some accused him of kidnapping women and daughters. Others believed he was creating a personal army of monsters to take over the city. If these rumors are true, Gree is deeply involved as well. Someone clearly wants more than their fair share. A loud growl comes from Loki's stomach. Hunger has set in. Shannon laughs, feeling hungry too. She says sorry, but cannot hold back. Rock smiles and admits he was the one who held everyone up, suggesting they should have lunch. The team agrees without any objections. While thinking about what to make for dinner, Rock suddenly notices a wagon passing by. A stranger catches attention by pointing out that Rock has a rare gray wolf. His eyes rest on Lucky. Right away, he offers a generous price for him. Rock answers right away that Lucky is not for sale. The man looks surprised by this statement. With a bold smile, tosses bundles of money into the air. A year of surprises. A stranger offers a price 20 times higher than the market value. Even for a large amount of money, Rock refuses to betray his friend. The stranger is surprised because this has never happened to him before. Gris introduces himself as the only son of the wealthiest merchant in the city, Count Fanny, certain that Rock will have to obey his wishes. This boy does not see his friend as something he owns. Selling Lucky would never cross his mind. Gris remains confident that anything can be bought in this city. He calls over his servant. From the start, it is clear that Mr. Gris gets anything he wants. Rock and his friends are surprised by this bold statement. Still, the servant keeps praising Gris, believing that no one can defeat him. Still, Gris repeats the offer once more and is turned down again. He calls Rock a fool. Suddenly, Lucky interrupts the conversation and the tension in his voice is clear. The message is clear. Only Rock is his master, and even after 1,000 years, Gris will not have any claim over him. People around him start to feel uncomfortable because of his presence. Impressed by such loyalty, Gris offers Lucky the best food, hoping he will come along. He even offers Roku to choose any number and multiply it by 100, promising to give that amount of money. How he manages to handle Lucky's pressure remains a mystery. Rock, wearing a cold smile, offers Gris something else and says he will tell where he found Lucky. But Rock does not stop there. He needs money and offers a deal. If Gris wants anything from the auction, he must give Rock the mermaid queen. Gris feels confused, unsure how Rock found out, and does not agree. The mermaids mean too much to him. Mermaids also play an important part in his plans. Rock wonders what Gris has to do with all of this. In his eyes, Rock is just a miserable beggar, not even worth talking to. Still, Gris admits that this boy interests him. Few people dare to stand up to a merchant's son. He invites Rock to join him for a chat. They arrive at a grand palace. Walking through hallways with high ceilings gives a sense of openness. Even someone as tall as Lucky would feel comfortable in these rooms. Gris feels surprised that a commoner managed to get in here. He shows off a bronze statue worth $1 billion, convinced it perfectly captures his beauty. White wolves, which also cost him a lot, now walk through the corridor. Rock remembers these wolves are now rare because people hunted them for their beautiful fur. Gris invites everyone to move on. They enter the banquet hall. The tables are filled with food. Dinner time arrives. Gris starts eating and jokes that these guests usually eat terrible food. However, Roka's friends think differently and prefer Gargoyle's food. This kind of generous hospitality could turn out to be a trap, but they cannot resist and start eating the food. Rock tries to hold them back, but Lucky reassures him that the dish does not smell like poison. It became clear that Gris does not use dishonest methods. Rocco can have anything he wants without using tricks, but being surrounded by too much affection has started to wear him out. Once everyone finished eating, Gris spoke up. Now it was time to get to the main point. Everyone was told there was no need to worry about eavesdropping in this room. Everything was under control. With a smile, offers to tell Roku about the plan involving the mermaids. Meanwhile, Lucky steps outside into the garden to take a nap. Gris suggests starting the conversation. Silence follows. Gris explains that Lucky was the boss of the 10th floor in the Ruin Flame underground dungeon outside the capital. However, Rock is not sure if there are more creatures like this. Gris is familiar with this dungeon and explains that it is recommended only for S-class warriors. This surprises Rock, who did not expect Gris to know so much. This makes sense because a merchant's son regularly learns new things from many sources. Rock asks why Grisu needs mermaids. Grisu plans to use them seriously for business purposes. According to Gris, fish people will attack the city soon. Using his disaster prediction device, Chad saw this coming. His invention had already predicted white wolf attacks and other troubles correctly before. Gris sees mermaids as a warrior species with a queen who keeps them well organized. His goal is to train his own underwater army. In his view, this approach will help reduce the city's losses. City leaders are preparing to buy the prediction device from Chad if his prophecy comes true again. But the situation seems suspicious. At last, Rock realizes what the conspiracy is about. Chad is secretly trading illegal creatures and experimenting with a virus that changes their nature. Riza had heard about it. but there was no proof. Chad knew how to be careful. When he arrived in the city, he handed out food and opened medical centers, quickly earning people's trust. Many security guards have been bribed, so without evidence, nothing can be done. Grease complains that traveling slave traders behave boldly even in his own city. Rock looks for proof. Doubts about Gree grow, and he starts to believe Gree is different from what others say. Many people see him as the foolish son of a wealthy man, but in reality he is very intelligent. Grizz admits it benefits him when people think he is not very smart. This way, it becomes easier to negotiate with everyone. The unexpected approach catches Rock off guard. Now he wants to speak seriously. He asks if Rock finds evidence against Chad. Can he count on Grizz's support? Riza agrees to drop the subject, but Rock has one more condition. He asks to be given the Mermaid Queen if Grice wins the auction. This suggestion catches Gree off guard. In response, Rock promises to provide trainers for underwater combat for at least a few days. After a brief pause, Grizz confirms the name Rock. This young man has caught his attention and seems worthy of making agreements with. A handshake marks the start of their temporary partnership. Meanwhile, Rock asks Domert if there is any news about the sphere. Domert replies that this time it was not easy. She gave up sleep to figure things out but finally managed it. Now she can let herself relax. In this field, a problem exists as it affects the mind and also absorbs mana. This is a device designed to collect energy. The goal is to bring back a demon that once threatened the entire world. The discovery is a shock for the group. Domert does not have all the details, but old documents point to something extremely dangerous. Rock suspects that this is somehow connected to Shannon. She was affected by the curse. Domert puts all the pieces together. The conclusion is that this might be the same demon. Rock also thinks this might be true, but there is still not enough proof. Domert warns that this is only a guess. If this really is the demon from the old legends, the world could face disaster when it returns. To prevent this, the creator of the sphere must be found and the revival ritual stopped. Roka starts to suspect Riza, the creator of magical tools, as well as Chad himself. He asks Domert to continue the research to gather more evidence. All of Rock's time goes into gathering information about Chad and his shady activities for the upcoming auction. On the day before the auction, a line formed outside Mr. Chad's kitchen where people were given hot soup. People gathered here with hope, coming every day to receive a portion of food. Everyone truly thanked Mr. Chad. Rock noticed another line, this time at a free medical clinic. People seemed happy because they were getting help for free here. Suddenly, a boy named Nayuda calls out to the girl, asking her to wait for her turn. She calmly tells him that everything is fine and asks him not to cry. Her turn came. The boy was still worried, but Lucky spoke confidently and said that Chad kept everyone under his control. Rock agreed that if Chad was not involved in something suspicious, he would really seem perfect. Suddenly, there was a commotion near the guild board. A new order was posted, telling all adventurers to get ready for a possible attack by fish people in the next few days. Chad makes another correct prediction. Rock agrees with Grizz. Some people are already getting ready to fight. Others still have doubts, but most trust Chad's prediction. While Rock was still thinking about the prophecy, the sound of a familiar cry caught his attention. It was the same boy. They came over to find out what had happened. The boy was scared because he thought Lucky was a huge, frightening dog. The man called out loudly for help. Rock led Lucky to the garden so the child would not be scared. Still, this did not help, and the boy began to cry even louder. Shannon stepped in, leaned down to the boy, and spoke to him gently. Gradually, his nerves settled and he became calmer. Shannon praised his bravery and offered him a cookie. The boy smiled and thanked for the treats. Hunger was real for him, but the reason for his tears was something else entirely. His little sister went missing, disappeared. Shannon asks for details about how the girl went missing. The boy explained that his sister injured her leg and went to a healer. He left to get food, and when he came back, she was gone. People in the tent said she left on her own, but he could not find her anywhere. He added that his sister said she was not a child anymore. Shannon asks if the boy would like to help look for his sister with Lucky. The boy happily agrees. Lucky returns just then. Apologies come for making a promise without asking the others first. The boys do not mind. Lucky even jokes that he would become a dog for Shannon. From now on, everything rests on Lucky. The children ride quickly across the rooftops on Lucky. The boy is amazed. Lucky gets compared to the wind. Hearing this makes Lucky glow with pride. Lucky enjoys being praised. Rock notices how well Shannon gets along with children. She mentions that she has a younger brother. Rock thanks her for her help. Shannon speaks to a boy named Rylan and asks about his parents. Rylan says they do not have parents. White wolves attacked their town. The father and other men stood together to defend it. Shannon apologizes for bringing up something painful. Rylan goes on, explaining they were on their way to visit family in the capital when Nayuda stumbled and got injured. Rock notices an unusual mark on the boy's neck. Meanwhile, they arrive at the mansion. This turned out to be Chad's residence. Everyone feels uneasy. Lockie clearly picks up the scent of Nayuda and several other children inside. There is a suggestion that Chad may have used free treatment centers to secretly take orphans. The security guards noticed them. The friends head to Grease to come up with a plan. In the middle of the night, they arrive at the quiet Gree palace. Gree greets them. They ask him to keep an eye on Ryza. Agreement comes, but an explanation is requested. Rock promises to explain everything later since something else has just caught his attention. Shannon felt regret about not being able to bring Rylan's sister back. Refusing to give up, a promise is made to save Nayuda. A memory comes back of Nuda asking for the same thing, to be cared for. Rock visits the house of the sorceress Riss looking for Dolb, but he is not there. Riss herself opens the door. Everything is falling into place, just as he was told it would. He asks if Riss ever mentioned anything about Lydia B. This caught her attention. Rock admits he heard about it by chance while wandering around the city. Rumors spread that she was hiding somewhere on the west coast. Reports say that during the Undead invasion in the capital, Lydia was badly wounded or possibly suffered something even worse. Risa feels sure that this was Lydia's mother. Rock cannot promise it is true, but wants to help because he knows Risa is looking for her. Before leaving, he asks to send his regards to Dolb. Rias feels glad that Lydia survived. At the same time, Raka finished setting up the trap and only needed to share information with Pedro and the mermaid. Determined to save Nura, he faces danger head-on. Shannon walks up to the house where two guards stand by the gate. She asks if this is Mr. Chad's residence. The guards became alert because they did not know who the girl was or what she wanted. The group quickly assumed she was just a fan of Chad. If she kept insisting, they might let her have a look inside. They wanted to offer something in return, but before they could, Rock appeared behind them and knocked them both unconscious. The boy felt worried about Shannon, but she is fine. She quickly takes the key from one of the guards and puts it in the lock. They moved inside carefully, aware that unknown traps could be waiting, and tried to stay as quiet as possible. Upon entering the large inner courtyard, Rock became alert after hearing a noise nearby. A pack of wolf-like monsters appeared. Red coyotes started to appear from every direction. They were Class B animals, but there were just too many of them. Patra left the monster garden and politely asked the coyotes to let her pass because she wanted to deal with them on her own. There was no reaction, so she shouted loudly, and a huge, angry ant appeared behind her. The coyotes became scared and moved away, clearing the path for the boys. Patra thanked the animals with the grace of a true queen of the orange ants. She called Rock over and pointed to the building where the children were kept. Rock thanked her, gently patted her head, and they continued on, heading down the stairs into the basement. Chad turned out to be very clever. The medical center attracted orphans, and children sat behind bars in the basement. 5 men praised Chad, saying that selling children brought more profit than treating them. Someone mentioned that even artificial magical animals are quite expensive. He asked to bring another one next time, but then suddenly fell asleep. One by one, the others fell asleep at the table. The person who lasted the longest eventually drifted off too. A flower with a hypnotic mark put them to sleep. Rock opened the gate and walked toward the children. Children sat in a circle with their knees pulled up and their hands tied. Their faces showed surprise as they looked at the boy and his friends. Rock asked how they were doing, but they stayed silent. Then Rock mentioned Rylan, saying he had asked to help them. One of the girls recognized the name. It was her brother. Rock realized that this was Noda. The other children believed her. There is always a way out if you do not give up, just as Rylan said. Nuda has a strong spirit, while her brother complains a bit more, but she was raised to be strong. One time was running out. Rock handed her the keys, but she managed on her own, using a piece of wire to quickly unlock the handcuffs. The lock seemed easy work for Nayuda, as breaking locks is a Lydian duty. Rock and Patra watched with amazement. She had been looking for a chance to escape for a long time, but had no idea how to free so many children at once. Relief filled her when she saw the rescuers arrive. Rock could not find the right words and knew it was time to get to work. The hacking process fascinated Patru. Utah gladly demonstrated it, saying that everything depended on copying her actions. Patra completed the task and felt truly happy, knowing she was one step closer to becoming a real lady. The children were freed, but the boys realized they still needed to deal with the red coyotes. Patrick comforted her, saying that everything would be fine because he was there with her. The queen ant liked to boast that she could scare anyone just by looking at them. Utah became interested in Patri's skill and mentioned wanting to learn it herself. Maybe she could do it too, if she looked stern. Rock and Shannon looked at them with surprise. The girls put on angry faces, trying to look scary. Patty really liked it because the look was perfect. It seemed like they became friends quickly, but now the boys needed to find the prediction device and return to Gree. The children were brought to Gree with a request to look after them, mentioning that Rolana's younger sister was among them. Gree agreed without objection. Nayuda wanted to know where her brother was. Gris said he had already contacted their relatives in the royal capital and had sent her brother there. He assured them that they would truly appreciate everything that had been done. Meanwhile, others approached Rock to discuss the next steps. Everything happened just as they expected. Tomorrow promises to be a fun day. This was great news because now they had a strong advantage. The next day at 6 in the evening, the crucial moment arrived. Everyone waited eagerly for the auction to start. The place was crowded, since wealthy people with free time enjoyed these kinds of events. Rock asked Grizz if Chad would attend the mermaid auction. Grizz said that Chad always shows up for deals over 100 million. There is no need to be concerned. The host gives an opening speech, and the slave auction begins. The first person shown in the cage is a slave from the dragon god race. The starting bid is set at 100 units. People at the tables started to raise their bets. Rock recognized this dragon as someone he knew. Rakula appeared. Rakula asked Gree to win this bet, promising to give everything back later. This dragon had saved them from the guards. Grizz raises the bid to 500. A quiet murmur moves through the room as someone else matches the offer. Everyone soon realizes who made the matching bid. No one made any other offers, so 500 was the final amount. Rock thanked Grease. He assumed that 500 was a normal price for a slave, but it turned out to be much lower than the market value. The demonic god race was not in high demand because of its difficult nature, but a price of 500 was still a good deal. Since Gree made a bid, others chose not to compete. Rumors spread that Gree was a spoiled rich person, so everything became clear. The next item is the Sea Pearl, a skilled warrior mermaid and one of the most remarkable members of her kind. The queen of the mermaids appeared. The starting bid was 50 million. People wondered if she could be saved. The auction began and bids quickly jumped to 56.5 million. Grizz immediately raised the bid to 100 million. Everyone in the room recognized him. The bidding went on without stopping and the amount reached 130 million. Grizz offered 300 million. The room filled with anger because the amount was too high. The host asked if anyone else wanted to make a bid. The record bid of 300 million has not been beaten. Everyone assumed Gree would act that way. Competing with a rich kid seemed pointless to them. Grizz offered to pay the bill. They walked up to a friendly man with a mustache who had a security guard standing next to him. He immediately recognized Grizz. It was Chad himself. He sincerely thanked him for choosing to buy the mermaid at his office. Chad handed the contract to Grizz. Grizz started signing the papers while Rock watched closely. When signing the contract, Gree thought Chad had made up the story about attackers on the mermaid village. Chad just smiled, taking the words as a joke. Grizz added that most of the slaves being sold cannot read or write. Everywhere Chad appears, orphans disappear and become his slaves. In one city, people say he even set wolves on a duke. Chad pretends not to understand anything. Meanwhile, Grizz remembers that he had examined Chad's prediction device before. It turned out that it has a special power for dealing with demons. Still, Chad keeps pretending. He narrows his eyes, watching Grizz with suspicion. Feeling frustrated when someone checks his device, he sees it as disrespect. Proof is what he wants. Grizz glances at the butler, who understands right away and opens it. The door opened and a familiar girl walked into the room. It looked like Chad recognized her. She witnessed and could prove his crimes because after being taken from a free medical station, she was kept in a basement with other orphans. Chad seemed surprised by this. With confidence, he stated that people in the city trusted him and would not believe anything an orphan said. However, things did not go as planned. This girl's name is Naoto Luis. She is the daughter of a ducal family, one of the highest ranks among the nobility. Chad felt surprised. As the heir of the Louis family, she confirms that Chad kidnapped her and locked her in the basement. In addition, she plans to tell everyone that Chad was the one who arranged the White Wolves' attack that destroyed her hometown. The news came as a shock to Chad because he never expected anyone from Louis' family to survive. He wanted proof. Nayuta did not hesitate and moved her hair aside to show the tattoo on her back. This was a coat of arms, clear proof she came from the house of Louis. Anger filled Chad. Sometimes, a slave trader might not realize that many duke families have a tradition of marking their bodies with a secret dye. This hidden mark serves as real proof of their identity. Meanwhile, her older brother is already on his way to the capital where Greece's relatives live, and soon everyone will know the truth. So who will people trust more, the duke's daughter or an ordinary slave trader? This idea left Chad stunned. Striking a defiant pose, he listened as Gree suggested surrendering before it was too late. For a moment, everything was quiet. Then Chad started to laugh. Showing no emotion, he raised his hand and the guards behind him quickly took up defensive positions. Chad believes he controls every guard in this city. Still, Gris decided to come here with all these people. He sees Gree as a naive fool. With a frown, Gree wished Chad good luck in his dealings with the afterlife and signaled with a wave to head for the exit. The guards got ready to launch an assault as the city was about to erupt. Rock assumes that Chad is heading to the harbor, probably planning to escape by ship. Rock decides to leave everything in this building with Shannon. Fate calls Gree. It is time to go. Gree feels surprised, wondering if he is really about to leave Shannon alone. This girl shows no fear. She steps into the fight and attacks her enemies with the confidence of a predator. Shannon handles a sword with skill. The advantage is clearly hers. She refuses to be ignored. Anyone who tries to stand in her way will be disarmed immediately. The guards look scared, while her friends watch her with respect and admiration. Shannon trains directly with Fenrir, showing not just beauty but real strength. Shannon feels surprised that Rock sees her as sweet. A nervous laugh slipped out, which the guards clearly didn't like. It was time to move on. Dob arrives at the boys' house. It surprises him to see that Rock is actually working with Grease. Dob is in charge of releasing the product. Already 2 slaves have been prepared and gathered. Rock is glad that Dracol is safe. Now it seems Dracol owes this guy. Dracol does not need to worry since Rock wanted to thank him for the help himself. Yet the dragon wonders why the mermaid is worth 300 million while he is only valued at $500,000. It seems Rock believes the dragon god race does not deserve more. Dracol feels upset and wants to start everything over. Rock apologizes for not having much time. He asks Dracol to take the mermaid back to the sea. The dragon is willing to help but feels a bit hurt about being left behind. Rock looks around. Approaches the aquarium where a mermaid suddenly jumps out. He manages to catch her in his hands. Carrying the mermaid queen is easy for him. However, since Grice was the one who paid, it would not be right to call Rock the master. It is time to move on. Still, Rock realizes that she has made a small deal with him.